just some more whiskey. I can't seem to understand how you do this to me. You've been running in circles inside my head. Wasn't looking for love, but baby, I found you instead.
That's what we call them.
Welcome back into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. We're going to kick things off with our Missouri High School Esports Association bonus game here. It's Fish and D'Angelo calling some Overwatch action. It's Francis Howell versus Plato High School here to kick things off between the two sides. And I know last week, D'Angelo, we had a high school game that was actually pretty exciting. We saw some interesting picks. So I'm definitely curious to see if we're going to see either team get stuck on a comfort pick like we saw last week.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We saw an entire team stuck on comfort picks, and it was it started out relatively like, oh, they're just on comfort picks, so, it's whatever. But then it got just a little bit painful to watch. So hopefully we see them swap off of those comfort picks if it's not working, because there are definitely a lot of situations in which you can make comfort picks work, but if it's not working for the first couple maps, it's probably not going to work for the next couple either.
We will have Boise State's Overwatch game in the NACE coming up later. And we'll still have to wait for that event. But first, like we said, we're going to kick things off with the Missouri High School Esports Association. And while we get ready for that, I know we recently had a patch that had a whole lot of nothing, but there was one major change with Soldier. From what you've seen, D'Angelo, is it going to make him viable at all, or is he still a niche pick that we might see from time to time?
It's relatively... So it's not necessarily going to make him meta, but it is going to take him a little bit out of obscurity. Really, the patch has happened in like a day, so we're still trying to kind of like figure out how it's going to work in group play, because a lot of the time, even if a character is super overpowered in just like one specific aspect, like I don't want to say he's overpowered now, because he's definitely not, but even if he were, it would still be different to play in a team. So actually, I'm just going to go ahead, and since we're on the air, I'm going to go ahead and just wait. So, like, don't quote me on anything, because I would just really like to see how it plays out first.
Yeah, I was reading the patch notes. I was like, okay, did they actually do anything? Because I think the only other major change was like, hey, Reinhardt now yells at you when he slams down his hammer. I'm like, well, okay,
yes.
I didn't, and when I get stunned, I can now learn that he's doing it for the Crusaders. Thanks, Blizzard. Really, really happy that I'm sitting in this shatter hearing him yell it at me. But, yeah, as we said, a little bit of a Halloween patch. I know there's some new skins as well, but the major change did come on to the Soldier. But it is the Missouri High School Esports Association. Francis Howell and Plato going at it. The Vikings and the Eagles going to kick things off, and then we'll have Boise State Overwatch in the NACC coming up after this. I'll be curious to see as we hop onto our first map. Looks like it's pretty standard outside of the double snipers for the team in blue.
Yes, they're running a double sniper with that Mercy and that Zenyatta. So their entire goal there is going to be to just like try to put as much damage as they possibly can with the snipers. And their dive tanks are going to have, they're actually running a team comp that's going to have to rely a lot on teamwork, because so the dive tanks have to dive in the lane of the snipers. And I mean, while you're running defense Havana, it's pretty easy because most of things are a straight line, but still.
Yeah, it will be interesting, as you mentioned, as we see. Looks like it's not a hard first hold. You can see the blue team there. Going to let them come around the corner, but they're probably just okay with that because they're going to have their snipers up in the high ground. Yeah,
their close hold would be with half of their team. You wouldn't have most of the people there, so it wouldn't be worth it.
See the Roadhog dropping low for Plato, but it's going to be Kellen that's going to be the first one taken out. Orbit Discord going to go on to PHS Man 3339, and he is going to have to retreat. We see Lego Master go down as well as Goblin Guy, and a nice aggressive push there by Francis Howell to reset Plato High School.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You saw the payload hit where they wanted it to hit, and then that's when they went in. They tactically waited until it was best, waited until they could just kind of get that straight line on him, and then they all went in together, which was actually really nice to watch.
We do see the Dragon Strike already up for Marble, and that's really the only ultimate that's even close. No one else is really up above 80% besides for Yoda, but that's the infra site, so that's not going to do too much more than give some information away. And as you can see right now, everyone can see each other. Orbit Discord going to go on to Cobalt. He will just disengage for now. And once again, the payload reaching that mark where last time the Vikings fully engaged. Another Orbit Discord going to go on to Cobalt, but Brandon Mon dropping low. Cobalt forced to jump away, and for sight going to come in. Dragon Strike still being held onto for now. You see Kellyanne dropping low, but no elimination. Couple more ults coming online. It's going to be Asteroid picking up the first elimination. On to Goblin Guy without their main shield tank. You can see the Eagles right away just going to full retreat.
Oh yes, they're absolutely just going to full retreat. Now we actually have a little bit of a more of an ult economy to go off of here. Particularly, you want to watch the Diva Bomb, because if they get that early pick on the Reinhardt again, their team took a good couple of seconds to full scatter back into cover, and so we could see some Diva value here. However, the ultimate that you really want to be worried for Francis Howell is that Whole Hog.
Yeah, Whole Hog is on the line, so we'll see if they're able to get any value out of it. The Dragon Strike and the Transcendence still up. There is the Whole Hog going to come out as they're going to go for a bit of a fight. Dragon Strike's going to rip them apart. That's a triple kill. Yoda and Asteroid going to add on a couple more, and yeah, that Dragon Strike was a pretty high value there, I'll be honest.
I really don't, I totally think they forgot that Hanzo had an ult, to be completely honest, because that was their first time trying to come through that super narrow doorway, and I'm not sure if they were aware of the Hanzo ult, they would not have done that. So that was a pretty good teller that they weren't necessarily ready for the Hanzo ult. And now they're sitting at a huge ultimate disadvantage. I mean, they're close to several, but Francis Howell already has all of those ultimates.
Yeah, they see both tank ults, probably going to have both support ults. Once again, a nice pick onto Kellyanne there by Yoda, so that's going to shut down any sort of push that Plato wants to have. Hey, let's make it two. He's going to get another one onto Brandon Mon. That shield from the Reinhardt about to escape. He's going to charge back to the spawn, and Francis Howell gets one more onto Lego Master, and that's another reset, and we're entering that last fight territory.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You can tell that our snipers are getting a ton of value. Both Yoda and Marvel are popping off there and just kind of terrifying forces to be reckoned with and trying to push through. You know it's a really sad day when your shield tank against double sniper just turns around and runs back to spawn. You know you're doing something right.
Good news for Plato in this final fight. They're going to have quite a few ultimates online. They nearly get one to pick on the Marvel. Asteroid sitting on the Diva Bomb. Now going to throw it. Nice redirect of the shield there. Sound barrier caught out by Lego Master, so a great little bait of that one as the shield stayed. Francis Howell going to start pushing it. For a second going to come in. Valkyrie going to be used as well. Let's throw a Dragon Strike in on top of it. And once again, a triple kill. That's a team kill for Francis Howell. That's going to end any push they have.
Oh yes, that is absolutely going to end any push they had. They couldn't get through that long straight line with the double snipers and the full Mercy Zenyatta pocket, which was actually popping up quite a bit in that assist kill feed there as well. That was a really nice double sniper run. Their tanks always dove within line of sight, and their supports were always there with them, and they had great ult management and usage, particularly in terms of the Dragon Strike.
Yeah, the Dragon Strike value was insane, really. I mean, as you mentioned, it almost felt like Plato for a second there forgot about the Dragon Strike.
Yes.
I mean, you have to wonder if the second time they forgot about it, because Brandon Mon had the Transcendence on the Zenyatta, could have at least kept his team alive.
Yeah.
And they actually, the round ended with 3 of their ultimates available, so not a great start for them. We'll see if Francis Howell can pick up the quick victory, because they only need to go about 40 meters, which shouldn't be too hard, but their comp is something. That's something we haven't seen before. Or maybe they're going to swap around. Maybe they're just having some fun. I was like, that is all right. I mean,
when you only have 40 meters to push it, you can afford to walk out first fight having no idea what your comp is supposed to be and then go back and switch if you don't like it.
That is true. Looks like they're going to keep the Echo and the Doomfist DPS, which is... Nope, there we go. Now they're just going to make a total liar out of me. You see for Plato, they have the Pharmacy, everything else being the same. They're going to pick up the Ash as well, so... They don't have quite the double sniper, but they definitely have the range advantage, but they're going to walk right into an Ash beside
That far is a brave pan, because they ran double sniper on defense, and you got to assume they're going to have at least one on offense. That far must be very confident.
Yeah, we see Marvel does get dropped low. Good job by Francis Howell using that payload. I'm surprised that Plato did not want to go for the close hold, because one lost fight now is going to spell a victory for Francis Howell. And you can see Kellyanne and Goblin Bites will both going to be taken down immediately. So will Lego Master. Just see if XD-Man can do anything. That's not going to be the case. So now the Pharmacy have to try and make a pull or hold. That's not going to go well for Valorous. And yeah, that's probably what happens when you can only have to push 40 meters and the other team's like, hey, let's just see if you can, how close you can get before we even start a fight.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm not even sure the close outside of spawn hold would have helped them very much there, honestly, either, because the payload only moved 40 meters. And so normally, if you get clean wiped right outside their spawn door, you have a second fight before they cap that point.
True.
But they only halfway got to that point. So actually, even if they did hold outside of their spawn, all it would have taken was one clean wipe, and then they still would have been down. So I wouldn't be too harsh on them for not holding it outside a spawn. I think they were hoping that their Ashe and their Pharah were going to get a lot more value than they ended up getting, because it's relatively hard to get value, especially on Ashe, if everybody's just hiding behind the payload.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much, Plato probably only had one fight regardless, didn't go their way, and that was a very quick win for Francis Howell. So we'll have to see what map we're going to next in our Missouri High School Esports Association bonus game between Francis Howell and Plato. Then we'll have Boise State in the NECC. I believe the Orange Squad going to be coming up after this with Fish and D'Angelo on the call. And, you know, I was a little bit shocked we didn't get a Sombra, because last time we had one of these high school games, we saw a Sombra just, you know, doing his thing, really not even being picked off. So I was kind of surprised that these teams were a bit more meta. We didn't see anything too crazy come out besides the double sniper, but I mean, teams have run that from time to time at least.
Oh yes, absolutely. Really in Havana is the map where if you're going to run double sniper, Havana is the map to do it, because there's a tons of just long straight lines where it's really, really hard for people to hide behind you. And last game, the Sombra was very dominant, but I think this game we're going to see a lot of double sniper dominance. I think we're going to be watching Yoda and Marbles just kind of click some heads.
You know, Francis Howell and Plato here, as we mentioned, Missouri High School Esports Association, as we are going to go on to our next map here onto Hybrid, a map we haven't seen in quite a while. And Francis Howell says, you know what, we don't need double sniper. How about Torbjorn Junkrat? Why not?
Torbjorn Junkrat, why not? Let's go. And you also see Plato not running snipers either. However, it is significantly more difficult to run them on attack. So we should... That Junkrat pick is going to deny them complete pushing in that little room up on Numbani, the upper stairs room. They're going to have absolutely no shot getting through there if the Junkrat even halfway does his job.
Yeah, I was surprised that Kellyanne wanted to bring back the Tracer. Did not have a very fun time on the last map on that. Actually kind of just got burned down twice in a row. Does look like Francis Howell predicted that upper Numbani room hold. That's where they all are. And a nice two-man ante, make that a three-man ante, activating onto Plato. Not quite able to find an elimination, and Kellyanne and Brandamon able to regenerate their health, and unfortunately there's no pick that's going to come out. Now Asteroid is able to get one onto Lego Master. Going to see if Valorous is able to shadow step away. He will be able to do that right into his own death. Marvel's going to pick one up as well, and that's a great start for Francis Howell.
Yes, that is. That anti came out just a little bit early. It was too early for anybody to engage on, but it didn't really matter because they all started motivating that direction anyway. And although the anti didn't help their whack get any kill assists there, they just really kind of collapsed onto the Plato High School, and they weren't ready for it.
See once again how the Eagles are going to do on the reset. Ton of damage coming out. Nice backline trap going to come out there from Marble, just throwing in those grenades. Now it's going to be pushing into that room on the lower floor here for Plato. And they're going to run right into Marble, who does a great job readjusting, throwing tons of grenades out. Going to throw out the Riptire as well. Wow. Good night.
Oh no, good night. Sleep tight, see you in the spawn room light. That was a 5K tire. The only reason it wasn't a 6K was because the other person was already dead. That was a fantastic execution of that tire there. And if Plato wants a shot at this, they really gotta stop going in small areas like that. They might want to try to flank coast. Hey, look at that. Oh no, they're going in the upper room. Uh-oh.
They're like, hey, he doesn't have Riptire this time. It'll be fine. They're going to actually walk right into a Shatter as soon as they can get that shield down. It's not even going to matter, as once Goblin goes down, there's the four-man Shatter, and Francis Howell once again putting on a clinic of what not to do on Numbani on attack.
Yes, absolutely. Except this time it wasn't the Junkrat that shut them down like I expected it to be. It was the Shatter. And now they're walking. They're still, even after having lost 2 fights with the enemy team using ultimates, because they lost those fights so cleanly, they're still sitting at an ultimate disadvantage. Lucio does have Sound Barrier for the grab, but they have a lot more than grab. Francis Howell does coming up.
Brandon's going to be taken out immediately by him. Marvel doing a great job. Looks like it's another second room push in on by Plato, and right now I don't think it's going their way. Here's another Riptire. They're going to spread out with the grab combined. It's a 3-man Riptire this time. The rest of the team's going to go down as well, and Plato High School, unfortunately, have not found a way. I think that coast push you suggested, D'Angelo, might be the play at this point.
It might be the play. It's also the only route that they haven't tried yet, so hopefully they can try that.
True.
Their mid would have been a good idea, except their Lucio got caught out and couldn't help them kind of get on to the enemy team. Really, what Plato is struggling with more than anything is their rotations.
Yeah, and you know, their stubbornness, I would think, as well. I mean, to go right back into a closed corridor and with a Junkrat, as you see the multi-core now, going to be the one that's going to come out right on top of him. It's going to be able to pick up 1. His Marvel's going to get 2 more. Shatter came out. Don't think he landed on anything too valuable. His Lego Master going to be taken out by the Molten Core. The EHS man going to go down as well. And yeah, I mean, at this point, you just got to give up pushing these small corridors because Francis Howell has it figured out.
Oh yes, so they absolutely do have it figured out. And you know, it would be even better to not push those small corridors. Look at the Francis Howell lineup and tell me what DPS would be good for that fish.
Oh, you know, how about we figure out first if Francis Howell's going to find a way to realize there's a Junkrat tire coming in. No, they're not going to do it. Goblin Guy going to be taken down. We're into overtime, and we're out of overtime relatively quickly.
Oh yes, very, very quickly. I'm somewhat shocked that it came to overtime in the first place. However, Plato High School, to their credit, their comp was really just not made for that push at all. They were going in against that Junkrat and that Torbjorn, and what would have saved them a lot of grief would have been something like a Far Mercy. Or some other, or even a sniper. Because that Anna wasn't behind cover most of the time in that back corner there, and she was getting a lot of value. And by a lot of value, I mean she was just keeping their Reinhardt up, which in and of itself is enough value for an Anna to get. I do think that rather than skill difference here, I think what we were seeing a lot of there was comp difference and comp superiority. Because I do think that if they had just completely gotten wrecked that first fight, or that second fight, or whatever, however many fights it takes you, usually you want it to be under 3 before you swap your comp. I do think that they absolutely would have had a much better time if they had swapped some of their heroes.
Yeah, and also maybe even just a comp difference in a sense for Plato. It does seem like Plato has struggled to track the ultimates. I mean, we talked about it on the first map. They completely lost track of the Dragon Strike and walked into it 2 times in a row. They just gave up a 5K to a Riptire. They gave up a 4-man Shatter. It feels like there is sort of that alt tracking that Plato is lacking a little bit. That is also the difference because, I mean, they're walking into fights that if they knew ultimates were up that would make them lose, they probably would not take them. As we see, looks like 1 sniper for Francis Howell, and we're going to see double Echo coming out for both squads here.
Yes, absolutely, and Echo is always a fun hero for me to watch at least. However, we were talking about off-meta picks earlier. We have an Orisa sitting there.
Yeah, it's an interesting pick, the Orisa Hog, especially maybe against on the high ground trying to use those shields. We do see Cobalt on the Hog as well. Asteroid trying to do what he can. Marvel's going to go bang bang. That's 2 in a row. Yoda's going to say, hey, I can do that. Marvel's like, hey, let's make it 3. Can Yoda answer it? No, Wack's going to steal it away. And just like that, Francis Howell's going to cap the point.
Yes, just like that, indeed, Francis Howell is going to cap the point because Plato High School, their real mistake in picking the Orisa was not necessarily that she was off meta, although she is off meta for a reason. They dropped to the point with an Orisa Hog, and Hog is usually a good idea, because, so they didn't have time. They didn't have time to give them the tick. They didn't have time to like lower health bars and then get on the point. No, they just had to get on the point. They just had to immediately drop, which to their credit, they definitely did. And we've seen a lot of teams that just kind of sit up on the high ground for a while until they have no real contest. So a really good job by Plato's Tanks for going and contesting that point. However, if you know that you're going to have to contest that point, if you have the reaction time, if you know that that's your job, Orisa is not really the tank to do that.
Yeah, I mean, at least you would think maybe something like something more meta, like a Reinhardt, maybe the Diva, so you can go rocket boost right in the face of the sniper who went bang, bang, bang right on your back line. Something to disrupt that sniper core of Francis Howell. Might have been a better pick, but unfortunately for Plato, that's not how it worked out. We'll have to see if we do have the third map or if we just joined in progress and missed out on control, as we didn't see that one. We saw Escort and Hybrid, but you'd have to think that Francis Howell picked that one up as well, as we did show that they were the diabolical team, our spooky winter theme here as we enter spooky season. So does that might mean we are transitioning over into the orange team in the NECC? We're still waiting to see what's coming up next, if it's our last round of the Missouri High School Esports Association or if it's transitioning into Boise State. But yeah, I mean, it really feels like both times we've seen the Missouri High School Esports Association, D'Angelo, it's been a little bit of interesting picks by the enemy team, as we do get the I Know Central Credit Union player of the game. Quickly, D'Angelo, who's it going to be? Quickly.
Yoda. Yoda, there it is. There we go. I don't know. He was doing a fantastic job on the snipers there. And I managed not to say half the team this time.
That's true. You did not credit half the team. We wait to see who is it going to be. Looks like we have a combination of that and the top 5 plays, so maybe we've just handed it out. Looks like, we're going to say you're right, D'Angelo. It is Yoda, and we're going to take a look at the top 5 plays from this series that we saw.
Fantastic. I'm like, what, 1 for 12 now on player of the game?
I mean, you know what? I think it's a little bit unfair because as a support player, you and the Nerdy Bird as well, who sometimes casts with me, that you're like, hey, I want the support player to get the love. And it's like, look, I know the support player probably was the reason they won, but it's not fun to find, like, look at that clutch Lucio speed boost in the back line. That's not a fun replay. So that's probably why you're wrong. I'll give it to you that you're just not a DPS player. You don't have the DPS mindset of, I'm carrying the team. I don't care what anyone else is doing.
Oh, I absolutely have the mindset of I'm carrying the team. I don't care what anybody else is doing. I play support. That's the entire mindset.
No, you're just like, all right, if you ping me for healing one more time, I swear I'm never going to look your direction again.
I'm never going to look your direction again. How dare you? How dare you, from atop my back as I carry you, demand healing from me?
As we see here, the wrap-up of the play. I mean, yeah, Marble and Yoda were absolutely fantastic. The sniper line for Francis Howell was insane. I mean, I really felt like, I don't know if Plato wasn't ready for it, because, I mean, it is a little off-meta, the double sniper, but, I mean, Francis Howell ran it so well.
I mean, honestly, it should be one of the things that, like, goes through your head when you think about Havana, because Havana is just a series of straight lines, like, really. Like, there's a couple of houses for you to duck into, but it really is a very sniper-friendly map. It always has and it always will be, because snipers are kind of just, that's where they thrive. There's lots of high ground, there's straight lines. It's just a sniper's perfect playground.
We see here, not the Riptire I was expecting. I was expecting it to be the 5K Riptire, but we'll give it to the 1K Riptire plus the assist for Marble. So that's going to, I'm sure he's got to be pretty happy about getting that 5K, though, on the stream. So, I mean, man can play a sniper, man can play Junkrat, and, Francis Howell can also just have the other team walk into them a couple times. So.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And if you can play everything from snipers to Junkrat, I mean, you've got to be a pretty god-tier DPS there, because there are a lot of differences between those two heroes. But we've seen impressive, amazingly dominant performances there. So it will be interesting to see where their DPS players go after high school, whether they go join Missouri, which is a very active esports state, like we've said before.
Insane, actually.
Or maybe they'll end up here, Fish. What would you think about that?
That would be, pretty exciting. And the one thing, and, I've talked about it just a couple times with Doc, is esports is such a hard, especially Overwatch, is such a hard game to recruit for. Because, I mean, you could be like a god-tier Junkrat. By the time he graduates, Junkrat might be just forgotten about. Yeah. I mean, so it is really hard to recruit for a meta that no one knows what's going to happen. I mean, imagine recruiting the last year of the GOATS meta, and then as you recruit a really good GOATS player, they're like, hey, by the way, 222's coming. And you're like, well, I have a GOATS team. Can I do that? And they're like, no, you have to go 222. So, I mean, that's got to be the one thing if you're a high school player. You got to be flexible on everything, because you have no idea what the meta could be by the time you graduate. I mean, we went from double shields to Winston Diva. I mean, Winston was unheard of last semester. I mean, you're like, we're playing Winston? I mean, what are you doing? Are you trying to lose? Is it Leuston, not Winston? But, I mean, so, yeah, you got to be adaptable. You got to be flexible. I did see he had the golden Junkrat grenade launcher. So, at least favors that. Never saw if he did have the golden sniper or not, but still definitely fun to see players like that as we're going to transition on to the Boise State portion of our broadcast. Here going to have, I believe, the orange team taking on Kansas Wesleyan is going to be their opponent. Not sure if it is NECC or NACE, as I know in both those, though, these squads are popping off. I know in NACE, the only orange squad loss we've seen is to the blue team, and in NECC, their only loss is to Midland, who is a very top team as well. So I'm curious to see how Kansas Wesleyan does against the Broncos squad.
I mean, I'm a Boise State caster, so my just immediate response there is hopefully not very well, because I would just love to see my boys do well and amazing. Because it's always a great day to be a Boise State fan, but it's an even better day to be a Boise State fan when you win.
Exactly. Exactly. That makes it a whole lot better. I know we had the inter-squad match in Rocket League that the blue team won, so unfortunately we have seen a Boise State loss. You can put a little asterisk next to it because they had to lose. One had to win, one had to lose. So, unfortunately not another undefeated night for Boise State, but still a great night nonetheless. We see Doc's keys to the game in Overwatch, win that first fight, stabilize and reset if needed, melt the same target. I know I've heard that the orange team has sometimes had a little bit of a struggle with that, especially in the game against Midland, and then tanks take up the space. It's all brought to you by Account, whose Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and a personalized customer experience for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. If you want to stay safe online, go check them out, account.com, KOUNT.com, as we get ready to kick things off between Boise State Orange and Kansas Wesleyan.
Yes, absolutely. And back to the Boise State victory. Did Circuit really lose? Did he really?
No, that man put in as much work as physically possible to not lose. I mean, he was stopping every single shot. We'll see. Unfortunately, he cannot be on defense for the Boise State Overwatch team because he would probably say no one would get even a checkpoint on that man. But we'll see how the orange team can do against Kansas Wesleyan here in the NACE Skills Shot Tournament. The orange team, as we mentioned, have only lost to the blue squad in NACE, so there's going to be some work cut out for them here as we load into the first map.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And an undefeated record speaks. An undefeated except to your older brother team record speaks for itself there for Boise State. So Kansas will have their work cut out for them here against Boise State Orange.
So we do kick things off. Looks like Boise State's back to their tried and true of the Reaper Sombra for the Broncos. Looks like we have a Tracer Doomfist on the side of Kansas Wesleyan. So something that we haven't seen a whole ton of. So Frost, if you can get those hacks, especially onto that Doomfist, Pizza Lover's not going to have a good time.
Oh yes, Pizza Lover, instead of eating pizza, is going to get eaten by Sombra.
We do kick things off. Looks like Kansas Wesleyan's gone for up on the point. Boise State going for that fight in that little hut just to the north where a lot of teams like to mix it up before the control point unlock. As it does, no one has gone down, but Viking has taken a tad bit of damage. Not going to go on to Tiny Warriors. It looks like a ton of damage going onto the Mercy for Kansas Wesleyan. Deadly Kawhi barely able to survive. Now going to be taken down, and unfortunately that's the only member who can't get a res. And Boise State's going to start pushing the advantage. Peach Lover going to go down. Icy's going to get another one on to Jinx 7. And Boise State is now going to get Tiny Warrior out of the mech, and that's a great first fight win for the Broncos.
That is an absolutely amazing first fight win for the Broncos there. When Mercy's your first pick, it's usually a good fight already there. When Mercy's first blood, like you said, Fish, that is the only character that you cannot res. And going into this next fight, Boise State really only needs to be wary of Pulse Bomb, which charges fast anyway, and the Primal Rage from Viking.
So you see there, nothing too close. It will take a little bit of an engagement for that Primal Rage and Pulse Bomb to come up, but Boise State, they're going to have the Coalescence, but is that really an ultimate with how fast it charges? As it already is up. We do see the Meteor Strike up as well. Immediate committal on the Coalescence. Pizza Lover going to use the Meteor Strike and not going to find any sort of value as he's going to be dropping extremely low. This looks like he was able to escape for now, and Rayla's going to take down Viking. Has the Death Blossom, still holding on to it though. Boise State sitting up 2. Nice double elimination there for the Broncos, and that should be another one fight as they'll get Tiny Warrior out of the mech. They'll stagger the Diva, as you can see, and that's going to be a shutdown on anything Kansas Wesleyan wants to do for about 10 seconds.
Oh yes, absolutely, for about 10 seconds. And because of that Sombra pick, poor Pizza Lover is just kind of shut down for his duration on Doomfist just by nature of the heroes themselves, especially walking into a Boise State EMP blaster. Oh dear!
Frost actually going to get picked off. The Primal Rage was committed by Viking, so Boise State still holding strong without their Sombra. Icy going to use his own Primal Rage. No knock off the edge for either Winston, and now Quidrible going to drop out the deep bomb. Pick up 2 off screen. Pizza Lover diving in. He was able to get an elimination on the Quidrible before he could remech, but that's about it. As he's trying to run away from Lev, who's just like, nah, I'm a Moira. You're not going anywhere. Frost back in the fight, picks up Pizza Lover, and first elimination for Kansas Wesleyans, but really not much more than that.
Really not much more than that at all, because now we're in last fight overtime territory with Boise State holding on to the EMP Death Blossom.
And Coalescence used by Flep, the Death Blossom. We didn't even need the EMP. The Meteor Strike gonna come out a little bit too late. Did Boise State, what a fight for them, I read. Until, I mean, if you don't want to count the Meteor Strike after the round was over, I think they only had 1 death in the entire round.
Oh yes, absolutely. They got the kill on Frost when he was coming in for that EMP. However, to their credit, that is a really important kill to get, because while Icy was able to sustain that fight with the Primal Rage, it was really, really risky territory when our win condition, which was the EMP Death Blossom, was denied, Fish.
We do see, it looks like for now, Boise State's like, who needs an EMP? I didn't really use it last time. So Frost is going to swap over to the Doomfist, Icy on the Reinhardt, and that looks to be about the only changes we're going to see as we kick things off.
Yes, that does look to be the only changes that we're going to see. And this is a really good mecha base. This is a really, really good map to run Reinhardt and or Brawl. So while Sombra is a really, really good pick against their Doomfist, Doomfist is also just an amazing pick on this map because of how close everything is.
Crazy, the first one taken down. Beanie Mill going to pick up Pizza Lover as well. So Boise State now sitting up 2 and no DPS on the side of Kansas Wesleyan. Tiny Warrior out of the mech. Vikings already gone down, so there's not even a tank line left anymore. And that should be control point for Boise State.
Yes, that should be control point for Boise State. However, because that fight wasn't very long in an engage at all, really, they will have they will have these next couple of fights to charge ultimates, because ult economy is still relatively even on both sides, especially after that.
We do see. I'll be curious to see how the Kansas Wesleyan side wants to push out, because sometimes getting spawn camp on mecha base is something we've seen a lot of teams fall victim to. Boise State is right there as Kansas Wesleyan tries to come out from the same corridor to a similar result. Double anti going to land onto the Boise tanks. Unfortunately, not going to matter. As Pizza Lover and Viking both are going to go down. They're going to get a nice sleep onto Icy. Unfortunately, it's not going to do much, but besides really delay the inevitable as the other members go down. And it looks like we got some swaps finally from Kansas Wesleyan over to the Reaper and the Zarya.
Yes, there is one final swap that Kansas Wesley should be looking at here, and even though he is close to his ultimate, it should be the Winston, because they are running, for all intents and purposes, with the exception of the Mercy, a Brawl composition, which Winston doesn't work for at this point.
Shatter gonna go down, land on the 2,
Yep.
Tiny Warrior and Viking, the recipients, and they will both go down. We've seen the Coalescence used. Also got the Valkyrie out of Deadly Quiet, unfortunately. About the same result, but a nice back cap gonna come out from Kansas Wesleyan. So Boise State forced to retreat and give up a little bit of percent. Looks like it is contested off screen. Finally going to flip over, but a nice save there by Kansas Wesleyan. Looks like that might have been Deadly Kawaii to fly over and grab the point when the Broncos weren't looking.
Yes, and then Solo Mercy ended up getting them 10% of the point and ran away in order to kill herself rather than have it go to Boise State, which was commendable.
Yeah, I mean, right now that 10% might be the difference in one fight or two. As Mercy Quidrible will throw out the Diva Bomb. He picks up 2 and onto the tank. 3-man ante that does land from Jinx7, who also got the Nana out onto Pizza Lover, and that's going to at least slow down some of Boise State's attack, because they're going to lose a couple of members. Does look like the Ray Form was not enough to save Pizza Lover, but once again, a back cap from Kansas Wesleyan is going to stop Boise State from gaining any control of the point.
Yes, and because of that back cap, now Kansas Wesley is able to come in and have a solid push and get outside of that spawn door. Not very far, though, as we're seeing in the kill feed there, Fish.
Yeah, 2 members go down. It looks like this time it's Crazy on the Tracer, who's just hopping around. Boise State's finally able to get it, but that 30% has extended the game, at least for now. It looks like Boise State might be ready this time. They're going to hang out on the point as the members of Kansas Wesleyan starting to trail in 1 by 1, which is not what you want. Sound barrier pop there by Beanie Boom, just to be safe as Pizza Lover gets taken down. Frost trying to find that Tracer. Going to see a Death Blossom off screen by Rayla. That's going to pick up 1 onto the Moira. And the Broncos now body blocking. They do have 2 members on the point. Can't quite see who it is. I'm guessing one had to have been Crazy. Primal Rage popped by Viking. And now we're seeing some life from Kansas Wesleyan. Now they're finally out onto the point. They still have one member contesting. Pizza Lover with a nice death blossom going to be dropped as well. That's going to pick up 2 for Boise State. And now Kansas and Wesleyan might be able to flip this. They get Quinchable out of the mech. They're about to eliminate Pleb, who's incredibly low. Frost has the Meteor Strike, but you'd have to think this might be a potential reset for Boise State as Quinchable goes down. Icy the next target of focus. Frost does want to jump in. He's able to pick up Pizza Lover, still holding on to that Meteor Strike for now as the Cola has been used by Deadly Quiet. There's the Meteor Strike. Can he land it onto a couple? He gets some damage, but not enough to get the elimination as the grab's going to come out from Tiny Warrior. Jinx 7 now up there being trained down by Frost. He's going to jump down onto the point. Boise State has come back at full strength and immediately pops bang, bang, bang right onto Kansas Wesleyan. That's going to be a team kill, and that's going to end that one. But a nice contest there from Kansas Wesleyan to buy some time.
Yes, normally we see Boise State being the learning team there, but this time it was Kansas Wesley. They managed to get a good amount of percentage on that point just purely by backcapping because, you know, when you can't get through the door, you backcap. When you can't get through the door, you send a solo Tracer or a solo Mercy, and it sounds ridiculous, but that was actually a really good play by them. They recognized that they couldn't get through the door, and instead of swapping off the Winston, which I don't want to say it was what they should have done because, you know, the backcapping worked pretty well for them, but maybe in combination with the backcapping, it would have gotten them more value. What do you think, Fish?
Well, first, I want to let everyone know that Boise State Esports is always looking for talented players in production and broadcasters. Top talent, along with good grades and eligibility, can earn you scholarships as well. Sign up today by visiting boisestate.edu/esports for more information. I would have to say that I liked the unconventional strategy by Kansas Wesleyan because it really doesn't feel like right now, at least on control, they didn't feel comfortable and it felt like can't fight Boise State toe-to-toe in a 6v6. I mean, the first map, Boise State won all of those. The second map on Mecha Base, Boise State won a majority of those. So it is going to take some of those cheeky plays. Usually that's a cheeky comp and off-meta strategy, but that really felt like that was Kansas Wesleyan's only way back in the game. And if they won that last fight, maybe they flip it. That extra 30% might have made the difference. So I like the unconventional strategy because that really feels like what they have to do because 6v6, Boise State's just going to roll them. I mean, that's what I took away from Control.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That is what I took away from Control as well. However, we do disagree just a little bit. I think some of it was comp instead of all just skill ability. I do not think that they're getting as outskilled as hard as it may look. I think part of it is also their team composition. What map are we up next for, Fish?
You know, I have not heard, so we'll have to see. I believe we go to Escort next. I know in NACE, one of the modes we go Control Escort, the other one we go Control Hybrid, so we'll have to see with NACE and NECC going on at the same time. Sometimes it is a bit confusing to keep them in track, but yeah, I mean, if it is hybrid, I'd have to think Kings Row, potentially. So we see the rules here, 85 schools at 8 groups, 11 rounds of group play. Both Broncos squads are in the same group, Blue taking down Orange. I think it's the very first game of group play, actually.
Yes.
And then, much like in Rocket League, it is an early November playoff that Boise State is trying to clear their schedule for, with the play-in bracket on November 2nd, round of 32 and 16 on November 5th, and then the round of 8 and 4 on November 9th. As we head into our second map, yeah, I'll be curious to see if it's Escort what the pick's going to be, but I'd have to think if it's hybrid and Kansas Wesleyan's picking, it's going to be Kings Row. But it's actually not. They fooled me. They took us to New Bonding. Again, hopefully they've learned from Plato High School that, hey, if there's a Junkrat or a Shatter up, you should not fight in a small corridor.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And, however, New Bonding, especially First Point, is a map where you can run some cheeky cheese strats. It doesn't look like that's necessarily what they're going for, but this map, and payload maps especially, we could see some grade A amazing cheese come out for you there, Fish.
You know, if it's anything like my solo queue games, everyone's going to scream that they want to play Pirate Ship, apparently, despite the fact that it's October and not May anymore. But I don't think either of these teams are going to have that ridiculous of an idea. But we have to wait and see as Boise State's going to go for the upper floor. New Bonnie pushed in. Looks like no one from Kansas Wesleyan was up there to contest. We see both squads almost running these same things. A little bit of difference on the supports as Narwhal picks up one, which we're going to be able to knock Crazy off of the edge, and now down 2. We'll see if the Broncos can finish the fight. Viking does get Rayla, but you can see the health bars for Kansas Wesleyan are not in a position to contest. Brodell's going to go down. He's been a new sub in for the side of Kansas Wesleyan. Viking falls. Pizza Lover, the last one. He will go down as well. So it looks like not only do we get a swap onto Brodell, but Pizza Lover's moved over from DPS to support for the side of Kansas Wesleyan.
Yeah, and it's always nice to see flex players able to play more than one role. That adds a lot of value to a player, and that adds a lot of skill to a player as well. If you're able to play more than one role, you have an understanding of more than one role. However, value in a flex player or not, we do still have Narbles, who is both a flex player and a mass murderer, as we saw on first point as he took him up.
We get a swap over to the Soldier from Kansas Wesleyan. First time we've seen that new hero brought out, which has changed in the patch, but Quidgeable, he is not changing at all. That's another double kill, his third of the match with the Diva Bomb. He's going to make it one more onto Viking, and now the Broncos starting to push down. Brodell is low, but it looks like no one can find him for Boise State. Israeli's going to throw down the translocator and look for some hacks to get closer to that EMP.
Yes, to get closer to that EMP as Boise State sets up again and prepares to push the payload. They prepare for their next dive as they push the cart up to this next very diveable location. Fish, what do you think is going to happen?
I think Boise State, I would have to guess, probably wait for the EMP if Rayla can find anyone. Right now he's content just sort of AFKing. As we see off screen, Coalescence uses Beanie, but it's immediately picked. Primal Rage pop there by Viking, potentially a little bit early as now he goes charging into the point. Lucy Pleb able to pick up Brodell. There is Rayla with a nice hack on to Crazy. Does have the EMP online. EMP Blossom is what I thought Boise State would wait for. There's the 4-man EMP. They might not even need to commit the Death Blossom. They take down Tiny Warrior. The rest of Kansas Wesleyan is retreating. Nice predict onto the Shadow Step by Boise State, taking down Brodell immediately. Narbles using that life stealing just built into the kit to barely hang on right now, trying to chase down Crazy. He'll go bang bang right in the back of the head, and Boise State's going to be able to easily pick up point two. So I like to say I was kind of right. I was waiting for the EMP Blossom, but who needs a Blossom when the other team just runs away?
Oh yes, who needs a Blossom when the other team runs away, and Narbles doesn't need an ultimate to just proceed to get a 3K.
Still has that available. It's the only ult with the Sound Barrier coming up soon for Boise State. Death Blossom, Sound Barrier Coalescence up for Kansas Wesleyan. There is the Death Blossom. It gets two. Rayla's going to get one more, and a Death Blossom answered by Brodell. He'll get one, and Crazy able to take down Narble. So a 4-for-2 overall exchange for Boise State, the victors, but the close spawns mean that, as you can see, Kansas Wesleyan, the Coyotes got to get right back on the point very quickly. Unfortunately, the payload was just so slow, it really didn't matter what happened there.
Yes, because the fight was so far away from the payload, it really didn't matter what happened there at all as Boise State is approaching this final corner with a massive ultimate advantage. The only ultimate that they need to watch out for is Sound Barrier.
Well, there is that Sound Barrier, but it only lands onto 3 members. Tactical Visor has been used as well. Beanie Bum's going to land his Sound Barrier onto 6. We see the grab come out as well from Tiny Warrior, and that's going to spell 2 eliminations against Boise State. Diva Bomb going to come in. Primal Rage been popped as well. Diva Bomb still getting 1, but that doesn't look like it's going to be enough for Boise State. As Quidgeable can't really find any more targets of value as the rest of the Coyotes team has respawned and are back in the fight, and Quidgeable now might be caught in a place he doesn't want to be. Going to try and rocket booster over the wall. He can't get there. Mech taken down, and a nice fight win there for the Coyotes. That's going to slow down Boise State.
A nice fight win there, and a nice grab that came out for them also just after the Sound Barrier. Just after the Sound Barrier was up, the grab came online, and that was an amazing job. They charged that grab much faster than I gave them credit for.
You see the EMP up for Boise State, but not much more. Really not much more that's even close. So we'll be curious to see if Rayla wants to hold onto it, or if he's going to drop it and let the rest of his team throw down. There it is. EMP's going to land onto 3. Narble's going to pick off Brodell off screen, and now Boise State's going to start pushing in. Tiny Warrior forced out of the mech, translocated away by Rayla, who was dropping low. And Tiny Warrior's going to be taken down. Primal Rage pop, Death Blossom as well. Well, the Coalescence for Boise State as the teams are going to trade back and forth. You see Crazy and Pizza Lover have gone down. Deadly Kwai will fall as well, and Viking now, without that bonus health, is going to be in a very dangerous spot as Icy is now going to jump right back in. He's incredibly close to the Primal Rage. Brodell going to throw down the Death Blossom. Solos out Rayla, but not much more value. Unfortunately for Boise State, since they are getting scattered picks, they aren't quite able to push in the payload. Another Diva Bomb going to come out from Quidgeable. He is averaging 1 kill per ult, which is actually phenomenal with the Diva ult, but sometimes we use more for zoning. We see Tiny Warrior taken down again. The Broncos really just padding their kill stats, but unfortunately they're still scattering the fights long enough that this payload is frozen about 10 meters away. Pizza Love is going to throw down the Sound Barrier, only going to land onto 2. That health bar just evaporated for that Lucio. Crazy going down as well, has the Tac Visor, he can respawn, but Boise State going to be able to body block block, and they're going to pick that one up.
Going to be able to body block, got a clean enough engage there, and got a clean enough kills so that they could cap that final 10 meters, which is always a rough time. The longer that fight went on, the more it was in the advantage of Kansas Wesley. And that's never a good thing if it's Boise State pushing the payload.
Yeah, once you get down to that final checkpoint, if you don't get a clean team wipe, we've seen it time and time again where you stagger, you're allowing the defending team to build ultimates, and then they're all going to throw them at you. As you mentioned, D'Angelo, I mean, the TAC visor was online if Crazy could have got back in the fight. So very close to a near at least hold for Kansas Wesleyan, at least for a couple more minutes, but they're going to have their work cut out from 2 minutes and 25 seconds left on the clock after the Broncos got all 3 points.
Yes, absolutely. And Boise State, Numbani on defenses has always been a relative favorite, and we should see some really impressive play from Narbles here, who has skills as a flex player, but more importantly has skills as a hit scan player. And Rayla on that classic Torbjorn that he absolutely adores. We should see an amazing Boise State hold here if everybody's playing to their best ability. And honestly, there are very few times when you can say that this team isn't trying their hardest.
Yeah, Boise State, especially this semester, has been on their game almost every single game of Overwatch, both in NACE and NECC. Does look like Kansas Wesley and the Coyotes going to pull out the Echo here on Crazy, so they're going to have a little bit of that flying comp there with the Echo and the Mercy. So I'll be curious to see if Crazy can get any value and shut down that Boise State hold.
Hopefully not, with Narco's amazing skill on hit scan. However, that Winston almost got him there. If he'd waited for the rest of his team, that would have been really unfortunate.
Unfortunately, Tiny Warrior did not wait for the rest of his team. He's taken out of the mech. A re-engage going to come out from Viking, and he's going to pay for that one as well. Doesn't look like the dynamite landed onto him, but it did land onto Mercy to prevent her from healing back up. And a great first hold for Boise State. Narble trying to get a couple of headshots. Going to shotgun blast away once again from Viking. He's just trying to dive back in. Nice dynamite value going to come out there. As you can see him almost up towards 70% on the Bob. Kansas Wesley is getting closer to a couple of tank ultimates as well as the Mercy ult, but not much more. They have actually a little bit of a backdoor strat coming out once again. They snuck onto the point. Sleep going to land onto Brodell, and he will be the first elimination of a very long first engage. Valkyrie has been used by Deadly Quiet. See if he can get over a res off of his soldier or the Reaper there. Looks like Reaper has just respawned. Primal Rage going to be used by Viking. He'll pick up a couple. Bob has joined the fight. Diva Bomb being used by Quidgible. They're not able to pick up anything because Rayla and Bob are doing, or Narbles and Bob are doing a majority of the work. Rayla comes in as well. And Boise State with some AI help from the turret, and Bob going to win that fight.
Oh yes, absolutely. The Torbjorn and the Ashe, just very, very comfort picks from the side of Boise State. And they seem to be working really, really well for both Rayla and Narbles. However, we did see Beanie Bum die last time trying to get the res on the Ana. However, he is back now just by nature of Mercy's quickness. So Kansas Wesley is going to be coming into some scary ultimates on the side of Boise State and a full team.
Yeah, Soundberry, the only thing close for the Coyotes. You do see an Anti going to land onto Viking. The Nano has gone out onto Icy, and a Molten Core going to be used by Rayla as well. There's the Soundberry from Pizza Lover.
Oh no.
Only going to land onto 2, but Crazy and Viking able to get 2 for Boise State. So both numbers down 2. Anti going to go onto the Mercy, but he's going to be able to stay alive. But Beanie Bumps the Mercy that actually gets the res off, and after that, Boise State lights up the kill feed. 4 members down, and another great hold by Boise State.
Another great hold by Boise State indeed. They just have to wait for Torbjorn to get back on his little dwarf legs. However, Boise State should be watching out for that tactical visor coming out from the soldier within this next fight or the fight after that, depending on how long their engagement is.
You do see the Valkyrie and the Primal Rage up for Boise State. There is the Diva Bomb getting close for Tiny Warrior, but nothing quite yet. As once again, Viking's going to jump in. Tiny Warrior is going to get almost eliminated there. Deadly Quiet is the first one taken down. Crazy does pick up the Rayla turret. Valkyrie has been committed by Beanie Bum. You can see how low the health bars are. Tac Visor does come out from Crazy, and he gets nothing but eliminated himself. And that is going to be a nice kill there by Boise State. They're going to wrap everything up, and it's a reset.
It is a reset, and as we're approaching last fight territory here, Ultimate Economy becomes even more important. And with Rayla so close to that Molten Core and Narbles almost at another Bob, things are not looking good for the side of Kansas Wesley, especially since they use their attack visor. However, they do still have Mercy ult, almost Sound Barrier, and almost Reaper ult, which could turn the fight
Both teams going to have a handful of ults. Unfortunately for Kansas Wesley, and Viking and Pizza Lover going to get evaporated. Brodell goes down as well as the Primal Rage has been popped. Valkyrie used by Deadly Kawhi. We'll see if he can get a res off to keep this push alive. If not, that's probably a wasted res. And now going into the very last fight, Kansas Wesleyan going to be down a very important support ult.
A very, very important support ult indeed, and they won't have the support themselves for this next fight either.
Nano going to be used onto Narbles. Molten Core and Bob have come in. Primal Rage used by Viking, but that's not going to be enough to keep him alive. Boise State ratcheting up the kill feed. Going to see the deep bomb from Tiny Warrior. Nothing to come of it. Quidgible throws out his own just to make sure no one's on the point. And Boise State, as you predicted, D'Angelo, with a very, very solid hold there. And they're going to go on to match point.
Yes, absolutely. They are going to go on to match point for the side of Boise State here. They just need to win one more map, and then it's theirs. And after their performance on Noombani, I would say that things are looking really, really good for Boise State here, Fish.
Yeah, I would have to think so. I'd be curious to see what map the Coyotes want to pick. I know we've seen a ton of Dorado come out recently on Escort. We've seen some Junkertown, which also Boise State has been historically really, really strong on as well. So going to be an interesting choice for the Coyotes, but once again, it really feels like 6v6 team fighting has been Boise State's specialty. And then there's been some panic on the side of Kansas Wesleyan because, that Mercy Valkyrie at the very end was little to be desired about that one.
Yes, absolutely. However, they made that one misplay on the ultimate, but overall, Deadly Kawhi was doing an amazing job on that Mercy. They were very often the last person killed, and I mean, that's ultimately one of the most important things about support is dying last, because you can't do anything if you're in the spawn room. However, I will say that Kansas Wesley, they do have a chance to take at least a map off of Boise State here, because if they go to Junkertown, which is actually something that Boise State Orange it's a little bit of a weak spot for them, somewhat. I was trying to decide whether or not I should say that. It is somewhat of a weak spot for them. And more importantly, for the side of Kansas Wesley, it is an infamous cheese map where you can run a great amount of cheese strategies to a great amount of success. And I mean, like I said, payload escort maps are just really, cheese-friendly in general, but particularly Junkertown. And so if they were able to pull out something amazing on the side of Boise State, they could be able to take a map off of Orange.
Yeah, that has been the one small, bright, shining moment for Kansas Wesleyan is a little bit of cheese on Mecha Base to backcap Boise State and get 30+% and at least extended a couple of fights. I'll be curious to see what map the Coyotes want to go to, where they think they stand their best chance at avoiding a sweep, but Boise State Orange has been playing really incredible right now, so you'd have to wonder if, even if they pick Junkertown and go full cheese, if Kansas Wesleyan would be able to pull anything off against Boise State Orange the way the Broncos have been playing so far in this NACE regular season.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I like to say no because I love each and every member of that team very dearly, and I just want nothing but the best for them. But actually, just knowing them all individually and knowing how they play, cheese would be the strat there. Cheese would be the way to try to win a map off of them.
Well, we'll have to see what the Coyotes have up their sleeve in our third map here. Boise State could wrap up the series with a win. Doesn't look like this time there'll be many swaps as Pizza Lover's still on the Lucio Brodell in as the DPS for the side of Kansas Wesleyan and Boise State. Running with, it looks like to be the exact same comp, just a little bit of different hero changes, but something that we see a ton of in terms of the comp that the Boise State side has done.
And I believe that Boise State will do an amazing job with Icy and Quidgible on the Winston and Diva respectively, because they're always on the same page, and Gibraltar is an amazingly dive-friendly map.
Yeah, Boise State actually the one right now. They will be very quick engage, and they're going to lose two. Brodell gets a double kill. Frost able to get Tiny Warrior, and then Quidgible forced out of the mech. So Boise State not operating at full strength right now. Nice translocate in there by Frost, trying to do what he can, but unfortunately not able to find much, and he's going to have to be forced to retreat, and Boise State's going to have to reset.
I don't think we were ready for that Reaper. I don't think we were ready for that Reaper in that room at all.
He got some insane value, definitely the best we've seen Brodo play so far in this series. Now Boise State starting to push forward. A hack does go on to Beanie Bum as well as Viking, and Viking is the one who's dropping incredibly low. He's able to retreat for now. Now finally eliminated. Brodell will go down as well, extremely close to the Death Blossom for the next fight, but now Boise State showing what we've seen the first two maps with a nice little win there.
Oh yes, absolutely. As we see Icy and Quenchable now staying far away from that Reaper and letting their DPS deal with him as they should. Fool me once, shame on me. But you're not gonna fool me twice, says Boise State.
You can see just the difference in the Sombra as well. Frost up above 92%. Crazy still below 50. Hack gonna go on to Pleb. EMP's online, and there it is. 4-man EMP going to be dropped. Tiny Warrior goes down. Viking and Pizza Lover will fall as well with a nice Death Blossom combo there coming out from Narvels, and that should allow Boise State to cap the fourth point as Deadly Kwai will fall, and so will Crazy, and that is going to be very close to a team kill for the Broncos.
Yes, very, very close to a team kill for the Broncos indeed, and they're still sitting relatively strong in terms of ultimates. However, Kansas Wesley does have an extreme advantage just because they've been holding on to their ultimates for so long, even though they've been charging them slower. Well, they don't have the EMP to combo with it. They do have the Reaper ult, and that is something that Boise State is going to have to watch out for. It'll be up to Quenchable to eat a lot of that if Boise State wants to continue to push.
4 ultimates online for the Coyotes, just the 2 for Boise State, but the support all coming online at least soon. We'll see if Crown Frost can charge that EMP. Primal Rage with the first one used there by Viking. A hack onto Pleb as well, but Frost is going to take Crazy off in the back line. He'll make it 2 as he gets one on the Tiny Warrior as well. Viking has retreated. Now the Coalesce up for Boise State. Deadly Quiet Pleb both going to pop at the exact same time. Primal Rage going to be used by Icy as well as he's going to dive in. Pizza Lover trying to get away. He can't run any further away from that rocket than he wants to. And Boise State with a great win there. And it looks like Kansas Wesley maybe not on the same page because they did not pop their ults in that sort of bang, bang, bang fashion that they would have needed to win that fight.
They would have needed to win that fight. Indeed, as we're showing, Boise State is much stronger 6v6 than Kansas Wesley is.
See a chase down onto Tiny Warrior. He'll get eliminated once again. Does not even have to grab up for the first time. Hack onto Pizza Lover, who does have the sound barrier. Now Boise State, a majority of the team camping that third checkpoint spawn as Icy's going to take down Viking, and the Broncos just have to wait for the payload to start pushing.
The Broncos' limit right now is not how fast they can kill things, but how slow the payload itself moves.
EMP is up for both Sombras. The Death Blossom up for Brodell. Narvels at 90% and climbing incredibly quickly. He's actually going to have it online. There's the 4-man EMP. There's the Death Blossom debuff. Sound barrier going to come out. Death Blossom was used by Brodell, so he's able to pick up at least 1. And in the last fight, there will be an EMP barrier potential grab combination up for the Coyotes.
Yes, there will be an EMP grab combination up for the Coyotes, and I mean, hopefully they just have a massive grab because they've been on Zarya for so long. It would be nice to get a little bit of value.
There is a 4-man EMP comes out from Crazy. He will immediately go down. A hack onto Pizza Lover was not enough to kill him, but we do see Brodell falling in the back line. Another hack onto Pizza Lover. Once again, just barely surviving. Primal Rage comes out from Viking. Crazy going to swap over to the Soldier. Narvels has respawned, and we're still holding on to the grab for the Coyotes, waiting for this opportune moment, and he's not going to find it as he's going to be eliminated. Icy going to pop the Primal Rage, hunt down Deadly Kwai, but as a 5-man sound barrier comes out from Pizza Lover, Boise State's probably going to be forced to retreat as Beanie Bum and Quenchable will both be taken out, and Boise State going to get a ton of ultimates out from the side of the Coyotes, but not much more than that.
A ton of ultimates out from the side of the Coyotes, but not necessarily the important one that they're looking for in that Zarya grab, because that Zarya grab is in most cases a free fight winner. However, they've held on to it for a long time. If they hold on to it for long enough for Beanie Bum to get an extra 60%, it will not be the powerful ultimate that it needs to be for them.
Well, it's going to be coming out, but it's not going to do anything as Quenchable is going to do a great job eating it. Tiny Warrior taken down by the Coalescence, which is just really, you know, a feels bad man moment for him. Deadly Kwai and Brodell both going to be taken out. You see Viking punched down by Quenchable as well. The members of Kansas Wesleyan starting to be eradicated as the Boise State's trying to put on their best body block. Tiny Warrior able to get onto the point, but he gets pushed off as he comes out of the mech. So the Broncos going to 3-cap once again.
Now, Fish, what do you think I'm going to say about Kansas Wesleyan and Zarya?
Probably should swap off it or hit Q sooner would be one of my 2 guesses.
Oh yes, absolutely, Fish. You know me so very well. That Zarya lost their first couple of fights and only got about 30% charge on the Grav.
Yep. And
Grav is an ultimate that could be worth it if you're already on it. So if you're already on the Grav, sometimes it could be worth not switching. However, their Zarya was getting just absolutely smacked at every turn because she has no mobility to get away. This is like nothing against the Zarya player and everything against just Zarya as a character on Gibraltar. Especially when you're running a monkey with that Zarya, there's really not much the Zarya can do to defend herself. And so we saw that Zarya get wrecked time and time again. Not because, I mean, they're bad, or not because they're bad at Zarya or anything, but just because Zarya was not the pick there. And we've seen a lot of that. And I mean, I've said it before, I've said it enough for you to memorize it. I'll say it again, Zarya was definitely not the pick, and they stayed on her way too long and didn't even get value out of the single ultimate that they needed.
Yeah, and the single ultimate, unfortunately, didn't even land, so you have to give props to Quidjibble for being able to eat that. They have taken your advice, D'Angelo, for attack, and they have gone with the Hog Diva tank line, and Crazy also dropping off of the Sombra for the Tracer, which means Frost is going to have a little bit more of a free roam style to be able to hack what he wants, as we see Boise State hanging out in that corner that spelled doom for them last time.
Yes, absolutely. Boise State hanging out in the really defensible, quite amazing corner, especially if you're having a Reaper.
The attack lands onto Brodell. It was face checked by Viking, and he was able to get away. Tiny Warrior dropping low, but not quite low enough to be forced out of the mech. Now it's Viking's turn to drop incredibly low, but unfortunately not much value there. As we see, Brodell is on the back line. He gets hacked, so no Wraith Form or Shadow Step going to be available. And now after he goes down, Viking will fall as well. Tiny Warrior going to get popped out of the mech right on the payload. We'll see Boise State how quickly they want to take down that Diva. Pizza Lover is going to be the next target of focus for Boise State. You can see elimination. There it is on a Tiny Warrior. Crazy going to fall as well, and that's going to be a reset. Hey, Brodell wants to join in for a second time. He's going to die once again.
Oh no, it's a sad day when you respawn just to die again. I don't think they were expecting Boise State to be cleaning up the fight that close to their spawn. But now Kansas Wesleyan has to watch out because they still need to break that corner there.
You see for Boise State, the EMP not quite close to being on the line. They do have the Coalescence as well as the Diva Bomb as the closest ones. Kansas Wesleyan almost in a similar spot for the Tracer Pulse Bomb, as you mentioned, something that charges incredibly fast. D'Angelo is close to being up as well. Coalescence from Pleb going to kick things off, and Viking's going to be the first elimination. Pizza Lover wants to join him as well. He'll go down to that Coalescence, as now you see Boise State has sort of sandwiched the members of Kansas Wesleyan. They have the EMP on the line. Pulse Bomb going to be used by Crazy, not going to find much, if any, damage. Tiny Warrior forced out of the mech. There is a Death Blossom from Narble. It's going to pick up two. Deadly Kawaii and Brodell will go down as well, and despite the push that they got, Kansas Wesleyan does not have much more.
Kansas Wesleyan does not have much more in the way of ultimates compared to Boise State, and they don't have much more in the way of a fight either. But now, because they got the Reaper roll out, they're going into an EMP, which is very scary, but much less scary than EMP Death Blossom.
We have seen EMP Bomb get a ton of value. There is the 5-man EMP. Quidjibble going to hold on to the bomb, and it doesn't look like it's going to be needed. Deadly Kawaii is the first target. Tiny Warrior forced out of the mech. Brodell goes down as the Death Blossom comes online. And that's right, all that the Kansas Wesleyan is going to have going for them is they're going to lose Pizza Lover as well. Tiny Warrior was able to stay alive in the mech just barely, but now he's going to be taken down as well as Viking. So they're without some tanks, they're without some DPS, and it looks like the Coyote's going to be forced to reset.
They're without everything as Deadly Kawaii respawns and then wisely goes back around the corner instead of pushing into Boise State. However, Narble has the potential to charge his next Death Blossom this next fight. If he's able to get in on the tanks, he's averaging about 50% per fight. So they really need to watch out for Narbles, even though it doesn't look like he's very close.
There's the Coalescence from Pleb to kick things off. Deadly Kawaii going to use his as well. Sound Barrier for Pizza Lover going to land onto 4 members, and Icy and Viking both going to prop the Primal Rage. No one's been taken down yet as a hack onto Deadly Kawaii going to shut down that Coalescence. Looks like the Primal Rages have faded. Every ultimate has been absorbed, but there's still a Death Blossom from Brodell. He's going to throw it right on cue and pick up Narble. Diva Bomb from Quidjibble going to be used, and it picks up 1 as well. It's going to help him reset some of that health after that Death Blossom. You see Crazy dropping low with the Pulse Bomb, but able to get out alive. Frost getting closer to that EMP, but right now it's not going to matter. Actually, he gets it off just in the nick of time. Viking goes down. Deadly Kawaii will fall as well. Pulse Bomb from Crazy going to fall just short, and Boise State now going to go up 2. Pizza Lover, the next target of focus. He will be taken down. A hack onto Tiny Warrior means he's not going to be able to get away, and in Baby Diva form, there's nothing he can do, and now Kansas Wesleyan going to have one last sporadic fight.
One last sporadic fight, walking into Death Blossom and Sound Barrier almost bombed.
How about walking into nothing? Yeah.
Walking into nothing, not even reaching the point. Boise State is diabolical. Boise State is victorious with all of our amazing Halloween aesthetic things.
Yeah, Boise State's going to be giving Kansas Wesleyan some nightmares for a couple of nights after how those maps went. So you have to be excited to see how the Broncos play there. So you can see some of the members up on the stage. I know the couple of other ones scattered around as well. So we still want to make sure everything is still spaced out. We got to look at our sadly empty arena, but I'm sure that's not it's because of the ghosts now for the most part that have been haunting us as we see our spectacular design. So, yeah. I mean, you have to be happy, though, to see how the Orange team performed. I mean, they didn't get out-cheesed on Gibraltar. They did not fall to anything like that, and it was really a nice, clean win besides one or two sneaky back caps. I mean, I don't think Kansas Wesleyan really ever had a point besides those.
No, they absolutely did not. Boise State Orange doing an absolutely amazing job to earn their diabolical victory against Kansas Wesleyan.
Have to see if we have an Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game coming up. Regardless, though, D'Angelo will let you pick who it would be. Or at least I will. Production won't, but I will let you pick who you would give it to.
I think it's going to be Quidgible. I'm channeling my inner Twitch chat. I think it might be Quidgible. And, you know, I finally got my first one right tonight.
Boom.
So
2 for 2.
2 for 2? Oh, there it is! Absolutely fantastic. And I mean, Ben is somebody who is really deserving of player of the game. We actually got him this year, and he is an amazing player and does add a lot to the team, which is what the Idaho Central player of the game is all about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he definitely makes the team more successful. I think at one point on Control and into New Bonnie was averaging 2 eliminations per Diva Bomb, which is usually not something you ever see. I mean, usually the Diva Bomb's one of the few alts that is more zoning in nature. So the fact that he was still able to average 2 per is absolutely phenomenal. So, yeah, as you mentioned, a well-deserved Idaho Central Credit Union Player of the Game award to Quidgible. But, you know, I mean, you can really give it to anybody on Boise State's team. Once again, I mean, when you 3-0 a team that hard, it is definitely a team performance. We do have to pick one, but every Bronco member on the Orange team should definitely be happy with how they performed tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Every Bronco should indeed, especially Frost for that last EMP that kind of saved them that point. I won't necessarily say that it saved them the game, but it did for sure save them that point because it was able to tide Boise State over until they could get back to full strength.
Yeah, he went from about 85% to 100 incredibly quickly, but still, once again, a huge shout-out to Quidgible, the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. ICCU believes that a great player makes a team more successful, just like they're helping their members achieve financial success. So a huge congratulations to Quidgible as he is the ICCU player of the game for the Broncos' 3-0 victory over Kansas Wesleyan, and they remain undefeated against schools not named Boise State in NACE, which is also a great thing as we start to enter the halfway point or so of that NACE regular season.
Yes, it's always great. It's always a good day to be a Boise State fan, but it's an amazing day to be a Boise State fan when you're going off of a win, and also the only team that you've lost to was also named Boise State.
Yeah, I mean, it has been really a great semester for all of the BSU teams. I mean, we saw Rocket League. I know the Blue Squad's undefeated. We saw that inter-squad match. We had the League of Legends team in the grand finals of the Mountain West tournament. So, I mean, it has really been, I mean, this has been the semester where it feels like everything's come together if you're a Boise State fan. It's come together for these teams, and they are absolutely dominating. Of course, though, regular season performance is one thing. It's those playoffs at the start of November that you want to see round of 8 or such. But we're going to have our top 5 plays here as we wrap up this game.
Top 5.
Join the fight. Diva Bomb being used by Quidgible. They're not able to pick up anything because Rayla and Bob are doing, or Narbles and Bob are doing a majority of the work. Rayla comes in as well.
Oh, dear.
Frost actually going to get picked off. The Primal Rage was committed by Viking, so Boise State's still holding strong without their Sombra. He's going to use his own Primal Rage. No knock off the edge for either Winston, and now Quidgible going to drop out to Diva Bomb. Pick up 2 off screen. Pizza Lover diving in. He was able to get an elimination onto Quidgible before he could the team just runs away.
Oh, yes. Who needs a Blossom when the other team runs away, and Narbles doesn't need an ultimate to just proceed to get a 3K.
Still has that available. It's the only ult with the Sound Barrier coming up soon for Boise State. Death Blossom, Sound Barrier coalescence up for Kansas Wesleyan. There is the Death Blossom. It gets 2. Rayla's going to get 1 more. The Death Blossom answered by Brodell. He's incredibly close to the Primal Rage. Rodell going to throw down the Death Blossom. Solos out Rayla, but not much more value. Unfortunately for Boise State, since they are getting scattered picks, they aren't quite able to push in the payload. Another Diva Bomb going to come out from Quinchable. He is averaging 1 kill per ult, which is actually phenomenal with the Diva ult that's sometimes used more for zoning. We see Tiny. The difference in the Sombra as well. Frost up above 92%. Crazy still below 50. Hack going to go on to Fleb. EMP's online, and there it is. 4-man EMP going to be dropped. Tiny Warrior goes down. Viking and Pizza Lover will fall as well with a nice Death Blossom combo there coming out from Narvels, and that should allow Boise State to cap the Forest Point as Deadly Kwai will.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your Guard adventure.
Here in Idaho, we do things a little differently. First rule, camouflage never goes out of style. Next, always use fry sauce. I mean, why wouldn't you? Hold steady when out-of-state friends think you're from Iowa. We call it pop, not soda. We always put a lift on our pickups. And we always buckle up because we still have a lot we want to do, and I'm guessing you do too.
Since 2016, universities have been adding varsity esports, competitive intercollegiate video game teams, with nearly 100 colleges and universities now with official programs. Esports is fast becoming the new college sport. But with any dramatic change comes criticism. How could institutions of higher learning promote something so trivial? But when you look a little closer, esports demonstrates, just like other sports, that it's a pathway to something more.
There's several misconceptions when it comes to esports and its place on the university campus. The first and foremost is that people would say it's not a valuable learning activity. It's not a place where people can learn new job-related skills or maybe get a good industry feel for what's happening outside the university environment. And that's just simply not the case. And all evidence points otherwise. There are so many new jobs. The industry is absolutely booming. People are looking for students that are graduating with experience in things like streaming and technologies, marketing, the whole business side, sponsorships. There's the whole graphics and coding component that involved in esports and other video game type of activities that are really important in just terms of jobs and industry.
And on their way to those careers, students who attend schools with varsity esports programs can compete for their university. But in order to be eligible, students have to meet the same high academic standards as other student athletes.
You have to maintain a certain GPA. You shouldn't be playing constantly. You should have like a certain time frame and like practice for like 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day. You shouldn't be just like overwhelming yourself.
Care about your grades first and foremost. As Dr. Haskell said, he cares about our grades first because we came to college to get an education, to get a degree, and then we also get to do what we love and play esports.
Athletics and other university-sanctioned activities bind students together with purpose, a chance to be part of something bigger than yourself, where we learn to work hard, play a role, lose with dignity, win with honor, all for our school. This is why we play.
Growing up in Riggins, we have certain rules we live by. Look both ways before crossing the street. Fishing stories get better the more you tell them. Small town life makes your life anything but small. Never work alone when you go hunting. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by. Growing up in Idaho, we have certain rules we live by. Hold steady when out-of-state friends think you're from Iowa. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your Guard adventure.
Here in Idaho, we do things a little differently. First rule, camouflage never goes out of style. Next, always use fry sauce. I mean, why wouldn't you? Hold steady when out-of-state friends think you're from Iowa. We call it pop, not soda. We always put a lift on our pickups. And we always buckle up because we still have a lot we want to do, and I'm guessing you do too.
Since 2016, universities have been adding varsity esports, competitive intercollegiate video game teams, with nearly 100 colleges and universities now with official programs. Esports is fast becoming the new college sport. But with any dramatic change comes criticism. How could institutions of higher learning promote something so trivial? But when you look a little closer, esports demonstrates, just like other sports, that it's a pathway to something more.
There's several misconceptions when it comes to esports and its place on the university campus. The first and foremost is that people would say it's not a valuable learning activity. It's not a place where people can learn new job-related skills or maybe get a good industry feel for what's happening outside the university environment. And that's just simply not the case. And all evidence points otherwise. There are so many new jobs. The industry is absolutely booming. People are looking for students that are graduating with experience in things like streaming and technologies, marketing, the whole business side, sponsorships. There's the whole graphics and coding component that involved in esports and other video game type of activities that are really important in just terms of jobs and industry.
And on their way to those careers, students who attend schools with varsity esports programs can compete for their university. But in order to be eligible, students have to meet the same high academic standards as other student athletes.
You have to maintain a certain GPA. You shouldn't be playing constantly. You should have like a certain time frame and like practice for like 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day. You shouldn't be just like overwhelming yourself.
Care about your grades first and foremost. As Dr. Haskell said, he cares about our grades first because we came to college to get an education, to get a degree, and then we also get to do what we love and play esports.
Athletics and other university-sanctioned activities bind students together with purpose, a chance to be part of something bigger than yourself, where we learn to work hard, play a role, lose with dignity, win with honor, all for our school. This is why we play.
In Pants Esports Arena, we are going to be continuing on and wrapping up our night here with the Boise State Blue Overwatch team taking on Champaign College in NACE Overwatch regular season play. The blue team undefeated. I think they've only dropped 1 or 2 maps combined in NACE and NECC, so they are definitely haunting the enemy teams there. As you see, the spookiness has overtaken the Game Pants Esports Arena. We see some of the orange players on stage relishing in their victory that they just had, 3-0 Kansas Wesleyan just moments ago, celebrating it in some practice on there despite what was really a great play from them. It is Fish and D'Angelo on the cast here, wrapping up things for Boise State, as we mentioned, taking on Champlain College, the Broncos and the Beavers going at it here to wrap up our evening.
Yes, and hopefully they'll wrap up our evening continuing the Overwatch win streak. I absolutely believe in our blue team for Overwatch. What do you think, Fish?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that the blue team, especially as we talked about, they've only dropped, I think, 1 or 2 maps total this semester, not even games. So definitely going to be a very tough task for Champlain College, definitely going to be one that's cut out for them, especially if Boise State's playing up to their strength. I know they had the TESP Invitational where they went 1-1, and we saw some Goblin on the Sombra, which is not something he's used to. Usually Frost is the main Sombra player. So if Boise State Blues at full strength, they're able to bring in Frost as needed, and they're able to allow Goblin to play the hit scan he knows and plays so well.
Yes.
I think Blue's going to be in for a very, very quick evening.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I hope it's a very, very quick evening. There are fries in the break room.
Yeah, we want to make sure we get to those fries while they're still hot, Boise State Blue. So let's go. Just sweep on control. Don't even let them cap on Hybrid and Escort. We'll be well on our way. As you see our breakdown for the NACE Skills Shot, the regular season play here. 85 schools, 8 groups, 11 rounds of group play. Both the Broncos squads are, I believe, in Group A. They've already played each other, blue taking down orange to kick off group play. And then, of course, we see the early November playoff bracket that the Broncos are trying to clear their schedule for, and you have to think that the blue team is well on their way to doing that. As we mentioned, they sit undefeated in the group play right now. So, going to be a tough task for Champlain College and not see where they are in the standings, but I'd have to think that it's going to be a very, very tough get for them to take down the blue squad. See Doc's keys to the game: win the first fight, stabilize and reset if needed, melt the same target, something they've done incredibly well, and then tanks take the space. It's all brought to you by Count, whose Identity Trust global network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and enables a personalized customer experience for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. If you want more information about staying safe, go check them out at count.com, KOUNT.com. I'm sure Champlain College typing that in their search bars as fast as possible because they might need that added protection to try and slow down Boise State.
What an amazing lead-in to an amazing joke there. That was absolutely fantastic. Yes, let's absolutely hope that they get all the protection they can get, because I am feeling good tonight, and I'm sure that our players are as well. As you mentioned, full strength. We have Frost, who is our most dominant Sombra player, and who was, in no small part, the reason that Boise State Orange was able to win the last couple of maps.
Yep.
So I'm sure he will be able to lead us to victory on these next couple of maps as well.
Yeah, be curious to see how Boise State wants to handle their 3 DPS, that they're able to sort of sub in and out when they want to bring the Sombra in and when they want to let Rezo or Plato or Goblin just kind of do their thing. I mean, really, Boise State has about 4 DPS that they've been able to manipulate on the blue team as needed. Sure. So I'll be curious to see where we want to go first and how the members of Champlain College are going to react, because we've seen a lot tonight, D'Angelo, of teams sticking with heroes that maybe are comfort. Maybe they're like, hey, when I get this ultimate, it's going to be really powerful, and it takes them forever to get it. So Champlain College definitely got to be quick if things don't go their way on the first couple fights.
Yes, absolutely. And Boise State, I don't think they necessarily need this warning, because typically we tend to swap off of picks that aren't working well. But it could just as easily happen to us as well.
See there as we get ready for the matchup, as we do load in. Looks like for Boise State right now, a little bit of an interesting comp at least being shown right now for Boise State on the blue side.
I absolutely believe in the Pharma. I think the goal here is I think the goal here on Illinois' side, I think their goal here is to wait and see. They want to get value out of that Pharmacy. And then their ball wants to come in, I think, is what they're trying to do there. Sorry, the text up top switching was confusing me.
They're all good, as we do see Boise State on the Pharmacy there. Looks like Champlain does have the Torbjorn and the Hans. Looks like we'll have some sort of hit scan, as we see the Orbital Discord going to go on to block. Frost to be the turret taken down. Plato playing that new hero, not new hero, but the newly buffed soldier, I should say. He's going to get one, but now Trax and Lerno going to pick up a couple of their own. Goblin answers right back, but he will pay for it in the process. Asu, not sure if he's going to be able to get the res off or not, as we see Glock trying to retreat. Kel incredibly low. Asu going to battle Mercy down Frost and then get the res off. That might be the flip Boise State needed, as Trax is going to fall. We do see the Champlain has unlocked the point, but Boise State right now holding strong. Lido going to be able to take down a large Bagel, but we'll see if he's going to be isolated enough to allow Boise State to take him down. He will be, so as Boise State, despite the early disadvantage, that huge play by Asu is what allowed them to capture that point.
Yes, absolutely. Asu is a joy to watch on Mercy. Asu is a joy to be around just in general as a human being, but it is just a special kind of joy when you see the Mercy pistol whip the Torbjorn so that they can get the res onto their Pharah. Just like, get back up there. I'm not done with you yet, but I am done with you, Torb.
See, it looks like a stun on the Guac. He's got to retreat incredibly quickly. Frosty has swapped over to the soldier of his own, so he's going to throw away the Molten Core and try and stack up that tack visor, as well as giving them some hit scan to maybe take Goblin out of the sky. So we'll see how long they want to stay on that far. As you can see, the damage he takes immediately right there. Does have the Rocket Barrage, going to pop and take down Lido. Going to try and get some damage on the back line and get down Java Chup as well. So no res available for the side of Champlain. Plato takes down Luxie. Trax going low. He will fall. Lerno joins them in the Deathgrave, and Boise State right now doing a great job.
I'm not even sure that the res would have helped them there because they still would have been down 2, and with Boise State actively ready to deny that res, they would have been, the Mercy would have died anyway. And Boise State is just really on their game right now. We see Goblin and Asu trying to get some just out of spawn value even.
Goblin forced to land as Frosty's done a decent job of at least making it a little bit harder for Goblin to rule this guy. Walking to jump in, drop the minefield. Frosty has been isolated, but Transcendent's going to come out from track as well as the Valkyrie from Java Chip. Ace is going to answer with his own, so both Valkyries are there, but Lerno's going to be the first elimination onto Guac, getting a little bit overextended. We're going to see Tactic Visor come out of Plato. Dragon Strike going to come flying in, going to whip on everything, and another res plus another Tactical Visor. Plato gets one more. And the Broncos in good position. Whole Hog gets Kel, but not much more as Lito's dropping low. Can't heal when you're whole hogging, and that's going to be the one that shuts him down as Goblin gets one more. He's going to pick up one on Luxy as well. Boise State with a nice 5v6 win there.
An absolutely nice 5v6 there. We saw Glock make a little bit of an oopsie rolling into them on the ball. And we saw a large Bagel follow him into that, but Boise State very quickly recovered due to Asu's res. And then Plato murdering with attack visor.
We're going to see Champlain not even get onto the point, so Boise State, they're going to have that win. It looks like the Beavers might have forgotten we were that close to going into overtime. They almost reversed C9. They're like, we're just going to slowly walk there. So great win for Boise State as we go into Mecha Base. We'll see if the Broncos can go up 1-0 early here.
Yes, absolutely. Let's hope they go up 1-0 very, very early here, Fish. Nothing would make me happier.
We do see it looks like the Beavers were not happy with how the last map went. They've gone on with a basic full swap here. I don't think there's anyone on the same hero from last map, so they're going to try something new. Boise State right now not changing much, but Plato going to go on to the Doomfist, and Goblin's now the one on the Soldier with the recent changes.
I will be curious to see how the ball functions on this map because I've never seen it before.
Walk right now, getting a little bit in the face of the Beavers. Frosty dropped low, but not able to be taken down. Lito is the next target for Boise State, but looks like a full disengage. Has been pulled off by the Broncos as they're going to let everyone heal back up as well. Lito now going to get stunned, but Plato just gets blasted down. So Boise State now down a member as the point has unlocked right now. We'll see if that's going to allow the Beavers to capitalize on Boise State being down a member. As we see Plato now has respawned. Lito and Frosty at about half life, but no finish right now for Boise State. Now a large Bagel going to get booped off the edge. Goblin going to get run down by Lito. He has a Tactical Visor available, but he's got to be careful as you see Java Chup incredibly low. There's Tactical Visor going to be called in. He's going to pick up one. Lerno's picked up a couple of Broncos in the process, though. Goblin's going to get another one as well after the Tactical Visor fade. He is also going to get Lito out of the mech and take him down, so Boise State has been able to turn the tide. You see Goblin right now basically 1v1ing anyone on the side of Champlain who wants to face him, and the Broncos, meanwhile, have all but capped the point. There's one last contest there from Track. Looks like there's one other member still on the point trying to stall out, and it's going to be a 30% before Boise State flips it.
Wow, Goblin carry? Question mark? That was the second time Boise State's been down a couple, and he just pops Visor, and then even after the Visor, he just kept clearing the point. That was actually a fantastic Soldier play to watch just from the high ground with the Asu pocket. That was really something.
Boise State, they're going to lose two right away. It's a large Bagel and Goblin. We do see Asu using the Valkyrie there. Does get the res off onto Goblin, but unfortunately Plato's going to go down as well. The pocket onto Goblin is right now the only thing going for Boise State. It's Kel falling off on the point. Boise State still holding on. Hack Visor has been activated. Track's going to use the sound barrier to try and nullify a ton of that damage as Java Chup takes down Guac. And it looks like Boise State right now is going to lose control of the point. It might want to consider resetting, but a wasted Diva Bomb there by Lito. Not much value out of that one besides zoning off a point they already had control of.
Zoning off a point they already had control of, and now we're going to see a hard stagger onto Asu and probably Goblin as well. I don't think, he miracle made it out of there. Absolutely fantastic, but we still have to wait for that Mercy to respawn before we engage.
I've seen Plato swap over to the Tracer. Looks like Champlain is happy with who they have, and they have a couple of ultimates available as well. Just the Gravitic Flux available for Boise State, and right on cue, Kel's going to pop it up and down, but going to whiff. Nice Wraith Form being used there by Lerno to stay alive, but that's about the only positive for the side of the Beavers right now, as two have gone down. Frosty has just respawned. Let's make it 3 in the spawn right now, and Luxy might be the next focus as he will fall. And Boise State trying to get back on this point. Little the last remaining member. He's going to be be taken out of the mech. Frosty jumps in and right back to his death. And Boise State right now looks like they're going to flip it.
Absolutely, Boise State did an amazing job of flipping it, especially with Illinois having such a high ultimate advantage there. And I mean, they still have an ultimate advantage going into this, so it'll just depend on whether or not we can go up early and fight and get a lot of value out of that sound barrier. But you know, maybe we'll go down and Goblin will pop off again.
Yeah, you see the one ult, just the sound barrier available, but Boise State's going to get 2 more online immediately, and the pop. Meteor Strike going to be used as well as a Shatter that only lands onto Asu, but a great job with the sound barrier, going to nullify the Meteor Strike. Unfortunately, Asu still will be taken down, and Boise State has to make sure they don't give up the point too quickly. They'll lose 2. Plato gets 1 back onto Luxy. Goblin trying to take Frosty down, and he's going to live with just a sliver of HP. Debuff going to be used there by Lino, not going to be able to pick up anything, but does force the Broncos off the point. They're just barely managing to contest. Pulse Bomb gets 1, but Lerno and Java Chip gonna go bang bang on Boise State, and it's flipped, and now the Broncos got 1 last fight.
The Broncos do have 1 last fight, and it's looking kind of scary actually going in with that Reaper ult and almost to the sound barrier. So we're really gonna have to get a strong Valkyrie engage and a lot of really good DPS eliminations to go into this.
The Death Blossom pop for Lerno. He's able to get 1. Valkyrie used by Asu. His Trax is going to be taken down by Glock. The teams are in a 5v5, but Boise State's got to win this as they are in overtime. Lerno low, not able to be punished, and Frosty gets Asu. Plato gets Lerno, and now Boise State, as we see Frosty doing a great job 1v1 in Kel. Large Bagel can't quite get the boop off the edge that he was looking for, and Boise State pulls a little bit of their own C9, and they're going to give the point right back over, so we're going to go to map 3 on control.
We are going to go to map 3 on control, which, I mean, it's neither here nor there. We get to see more of them play on Busan. And actually, this next map coming up is my favorite to watch, but my least favorite to play. And we should see some absolutely amazing, dominant hit scan play from Goblin on here, because this is a map that just really allows for some really skilled hit scans to shine.
Goblin for now sticking on the newly changed soldier. Now he'll go over to the far. I was going to say, we talked about it at the start of the show. D'Angelo not quite wanting to call it if it's a buff or a nerf quite yet, with a little bit of recoil change, a little bit of damage change, ammo change as well. So we'll wait to see how Soldier's spot in the meta materializes as we see Goblin, as you mentioned, right onto the hit scan. He's going to go right onto that sniper of the Widowmaker. You see Frosty on the back line, does not spot out Goblin, so he's not going to go chase him down, at least for now. His guys are on block as we get the top-down view, and Goblin is repositioned, stunned onto Luxy. Couple of shots, and Frosty's going to get the first elimination. Goblin answers right back, right in the head, and it's 5 versus 5. He's trying to find another one as Frosty's putting in work. Plato gets 1, and now the elimination starting to rack it up, but 1 in the head once again to flip it. Make it 2 in the head. Goblin is on fire right now, and that's going to allow Boise State to get the point. My goodness, what play he had right there.
There it is, Widow and Ash. You saw it here, guys. The Widow enables the point capture, and with an emote just for the camera there, Goblin did an amazing job carrying that fight after Boise State was almost down. It almost seems like he gets stronger the more members of Boise State have been sent to spawn.
I'm pretty curious. There's 1 more in the head. You have to wonder when Frosty's going to try and hunt down Goblin and make it a 1v1 between the Widow and the Doomfist. Right now, Trax has gone down. Goblin not quite able to find anything on Frosty, who's doing a great job taking away the sight line. Until then, he's going to get 1 more on him. Infrasight is available, but who needs it when he can see the members? Bang again. And Goblin right now helping Boise State extend their lead.
Yes, an absolutely amazing job by Boise State of extending their lead. And I knew that this map would be an amazing one to watch just because of the absolutely amazing Goblin hit scan. And Plato's also very good at hit scan as well. He's just not happening to have the amazing angles that Goblin has found himself.
Infrasight going to come in. Bob used last fight, about committed here by Asu as well to kick things off. Diva Bomb and the Coalescence are available for the side of Champlain as we see the Diva Bomb come out. Is able to pick up Guak as we're right now focusing on Goblin, who hasn't been able to find much value this fight as the Beaver's done a really good job of nullifying those sight lines. He is behind the Reinhardt, but they're just contesting the point as the Broncos are growing their lead. Luxy going to be taken out by Kel, and Goblin's now in a familiar spot, not able to find Frosty just yet as the Minefield's going to be dropped. The Java Chip and Lerno able to pick up 2. There's the Meteor Strike on to Goblin. That's what I was waiting for from Frosty. Takes himself off the point for now. now, and you see Guac swinging around. He's just trying to extend this as long as possible. Boise State up above 92%, 93% before it flips, and Goblin's going to swap off. That's a great start for Boise State, though.
Yes, that is absolutely an amazing start for Boise State, and considering that they have no hit scan to counter Goblin currently, Farah should be an absolutely amazing pick.
Yeah, Frosty taken down. We'll see if he wants to swap. Not sure if he was able to spot out that there was a Farah pick. There's a 5-man sound barrier comes out from tracks. They're going to do the coalescence as well from Java Chup, and it's going to force Boise State to disengage, but a nice boot off the edge by a large bagel. It's going to make it a 5v6. Diva Bomb going to come in. Frosty has picked up Gaba, but that's not going to matter when a 3-man Diva Bomb Kel continuing what Quidgeable started tonight, and the Diva Bombs for Boise State have been absolutely fantastic.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Boise State has amazing Diva Bombs, and it seems like the rest of the team has just risen to the example that Goblin set up within the first couple of maps, and now all the members of Boise State are playing just absolutely phenomenally, and it's just amazing to watch, Fish.
Yeah, I mean, that was 3 straight control maps, by the way, where we didn't even see overtime because twice the attacking member who needed to flip the point wasn't there, and on that last one, it was just a team wipe right as they flipped it, so no one could get back. But you have to love how Boise State was able to take control in a little bit of a tighter fashion. You see Doc there getting his own practice games on. It looked like on the Reaper there, trying to do a little bit of his, Rezo impression, Rayla impression. Some of the Reapers for Boise State that we've seen. You see the orange squad there in the background, also getting some practice in, but it's right now the blue squad. But wouldn't it be great if playing a game you could level up yourself instead of just an on-screen character? It's now possible. Your actual speed, strength, and endurance will help you win through the Black Box VR arenas, making it more like a futuristic sport than a video game. Follow Boise State Esports on Twitch to see upcoming Black Box VR events, and visit www.blackbox-vr.com for more information. Right now, Boise State, they're just about leveling up that win-loss record, and they're well on their way as we head over to hybrid because, I mean, it was a little closer than we've seen from time. They did lose one of the control points, but still doing a really, really good job.
They lost one, but it let us see the Goblin Widowmaker play on that last map, which was truly just a sight to behold, because you could see Frosty looking for him the entire time, but you could also see him looking for Frosty and looking for the heads of the entire rest of the team.
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly an incredible play that came out from Goblin. It's something that we've seen him on a ton. I mean, he's been expanding that as well. Wouldn't be shocked if we see the Torbjorn come out potentially on one of the payload maps. He's played that a ton as well. As far as Boise State's opponent, do you have any suggestions of maps they might want to go to if they want to pick one off from Boise State?
Not necessarily a suggestion to take one off of Boise State, but you definitely probably don't. You probably don't want to run into them and Numbani on defense. You definitely probably don't want to have Goblin on that Widowmaker just sitting there on Numbani, especially because to an aware Widowmaker, which Goblin is, it is incredibly hard to get any flanks, especially on defense first point Numbani. And so I think if Boise State starts defense on Numbani, I think they'll have a really good shot at just holding that first point as long as all of their members perform. Even though that is an incredible task to do, is completely hold that point, I do believe Boise State would have a really good shot if they chose to take it to Numbani. So probably don't pick Numbani.
Yeah, and we haven't actually seen Numbani. It had been a hot minute since we had seen it, as we do see here. Would want to double check because I have heard that it was supposed to be Champlain College, but we have the Illinois L logo up there, so just not quite sure who the Broncos are playing. But right now, it hasn't really mattered, as it looks like we're actually going to go to we're going to go over to Escort first. We're going to go over to Gibraltar. I was expecting hybrid, but you know what? That's fine.
And Gibraltar is an interesting map because while it is really, really good for snipers, it's also really, really good for dive tanks, which are usually a known counter to snipers, especially if they're diving together. So we see Goblin on the Soldier, and because of his changes, which at least in Goblin's hands I am convinced are buffs, he's actually really nice because he doesn't have a lot of vertical mobility, but he has a lot of horizontal mobility with that run. And so he's able to stay out of the way of dive tanks for the most part. And I do think that that will be something to watch this next map.
We have a couple of substitutions coming out for Illinois. Laura and Sir Ethelon are going to be in. Looks like Frosty and Java Chups have been taken out after we move from control over to escort. We'll see if that works out for the Illini. As you see right now, Guac is in on the back line as they're trying to find somewhere to push through. Last time, Boise got a little bit caught out here in this little depth room. Looks like this time the Broncos more than ready as a large bagel going to get the first elimination onto Sir Elthon, and that's not a great start for him in his first match of the night. Red's going to come out, but unfortunately at the cost of 2 members of the Illini. They are going to take down a large bagel and Asu though, so there's no supports up for Boise State right now. We'll see how their health bars hold on as Sir Elthalon has gone down again. Payload's still pushing though, and Guac's going to jump right in. Looks like a sandwich coming out from Boise State. They're going to knock Luxie towards the rest of the teams. We have a swap on the Anna coming out as Trax has been taken down, and Boise State, despite not having any support, is able to hold on there and at least stall out the payload push as we do see Guac taking out, but Luxie will be traded down.
Yes, an absolutely amazing job by Boise State of sustaining, but less sustaining and more just killing the enemy team before they can kill you without both of your supports. However, we do now have our Mercy back and our Zen not far behind. So Boise State is back at full strength because of the respawn speed of Guac as Ball. And all they really, and they don't really, they need to watch out for the Somber EMP, but also Illinois really needs to watch out for Goblin and his attack visor.
Well, maybe because of the attack visor, we see Lerno has swapped over to the Genji for the deflex. Luxie's taken down, but immediately Rez. His Trax has used the Valkyrie there. Attack visor comes out as Plato goes down, but Rez comes out. And attack visor is going to pick up 2. The Primal Rage has been used by Luxie. Trax still holding on to that Valkyrie for now, but hasn't got much value. Ace's going to be taken down there. Demon Bump from Lito going to be used. Unfortunately, not going to find much as Cal and Luxie going to trade eliminations. Minefield up for Guac, immediately going to be thrown down, but Lito going to pick one up onto Kel. And Boise State starting to run out of room on this first point as they are going to retreat and wait for a reset.
They're going to retreat, and they do get a staggered fight here should they choose to take it. However, it does look like they're just kind of, if they send the Bob out onto the point, they do get a full fight with ultimate advantage.
There's a 3-man EMP. That's going to shut down the Bob. Valkyrie and Transcendence were used, however, and Loro and Lanero both going to be taken out. Track's going to join them. Lito forced out of the mech. You can see Sir Ethelon trying to do his best Widowmaker impression in the back line. He will go down as well. And Boise State, despite the EMP, going to do a nice job winning that fight, and they're going to force the swap.
And because they won that fight with the EMP, they are currently in a really, really good position to hold this for the next minute. However, they do need to be careful of the Genji Blade because we don't have Transcendence for that, and it's not likely that we'll be able to go 70% as opposed to the Genji's 20.
You see, Loro has swapped over to the Widowmaker, goes bang, Boise State reses, and then goes bang again on Plato, so Bob's not going to be able to join the fight whether he wants to or not. Nano Blade is available. Lito's flipped over the Wrecking Ball. He has been stunned. It looks like he's barely able to get away. There is the Blade going to come out from Lanero. He's able to pick up 2. Didn't even need the Nano, and that's probably going to be enough for Boise State to concede at this point. You see Guac doing what he can to stall out. Kel's there as well. Bob, hey, he's going to join in. He'll pick up 1. Red's going to go out to nullify that. Plato got Luxie as well, but that's about all for Boise State, and that's a point cap for Illinois.
Bob did, in fact, make a valiant effort to hold that point for Boise State, but it did not matter because the Mercy Res came out right after it. That fight probably would have ended up much differently if they didn't get the initial headshot onto Plato and they'd had Bob at the beginning.
The Asu taken down. Illinois has really flipped the script and are starting to put Boise State on their heels as we see Luxo's going to dive in, pop the Primal Rage to be able to survive. He's taking a ton of damage and he's isolated from his team. We see Trax also going low. Gravitic Flux was used to take out the Mercy, but that's all that Kel's going to get as Lanero's going to take him down. Minefield scattered on top of the Illini's team, and Sir Ethelon going to be an unfortunate mine to the face that takes him down. A large bagel and Plato get kills off screen. Plato's going to get another one, and the Broncos now start to get a little bit of their mojo back.
Yes, mojo back indeed. However, we are sitting at no defensive ult for the impending Nano Blade. And Illinois has a grand total of 4 ultimates to use against this next fight. But that doesn't necessarily matter because their win condition is that Nano Blade. We need to either kill the Genji, like that.
Step 1.
And but preferably do that in the fight where they're trying to use it. But there it is. There's step 1, like you said, Fish.
He gets the res. Boise State has also gone over to their own Genji, and their Nano Blade is going to be up very soon, as we do see Trax has been taken down. That's one ultimate taken off the table for the Illini. Goblin at 93%, so the Nano Blade could be up for both sides, as well as both of Valkyries. The Intrasight going to be the first ability pop. Blades online, so the question becomes who wants to Nano Blade first? And it looks like Boise State, they got the Nano. Here's the Blade that's going to come out. Illinois wants to answer with the same thing. Linero's going to get one. Cerathalon is going to be taken down. Goblin gets two. Anything you can do, I can do better, is what Boise State wants to say on that one, is they're going to get just one more elimination, and a res coming out shuts down any value that the Nano Blade got for Illinois.
Yes, absolutely. Boise State did an amazing job there using the Nano Blade first, because in mirror compositions like this, where the only difference is the Diva for the Winston, in mirror compositions like that, where you're both relying on the same ultimate combo, the one that does it first wins. Because the one that does it first is in a position to do it better. The one that does it first, the one that does it better is the one that wins. And that was Boise State last time.
We'll see what Boise State wants to do now. They do have the Diva Bomb and the Bob available. Illinois is starved for ults. They just have the Minefield. Primal Rage is close. And they've also got to take a fight here. There's 9 seconds left, so you have to think Boise State's going to throw them all down. Bob's going to join. Minefield going to be called in, and Kell's going to get 2 without the bomb. There's a Diva on the Widowmaker on the back line. He can't get any value as Kell gets one more. Ace2 has been taken down. Track's going to swap over to the Lucio to try and speed back onto the point. Primal Rage has been popped, but Kell's popping off himself as he's got 4 eliminations this round, or this fight. Large Bagel and Guac going to clean up the rest of the members. We'll see if the Illini can get back in time. Minefield takes down Linero. There's not an ultimate in sight for Illinois, and Boise State with a nice little hold there after that first point. Doing a great job here to set themselves up with an easy victory potential.
Yes, and once that door closes on Gibraltar, it makes life much more difficult to push. If you don't get past that door in a good distance after you cap first point, it's pretty likely you're just going to be held outside of your spawn, because you only have 4 places to enter through and 4 places to exit through. And shields aren't what they used to be, and you can't just run goats into them. So it's really, really hard for them to get those dive heroes in the positions that they need, and Boise State made that even more difficult by nanoblading first. And once they weren't able to get the value that they needed out of that nanoblade, it was really just kind of sitting and waiting to see what else Illinois would try.
Yeah, and I was curious. I was honestly expecting Loro to bring out the Widowmaker, because he was one of the DPS that Illinois brought in along with Sir Ethelon for Gibraltar, and he had played the Widowmaker really well a couple times on that first point. So the fact he's on Ashe, still a sniper, but surprising that he isn't on that Widow. But it looks like, other than that, not a lot of changes. Boise State's still going to go with the Nanoblade comp as well as Plato on the Ashe. We do have Linero. No, he's going to try out the newly changed Soldier, see if he can make it look like a buff, or if it's just that Goblin is that good.
If Goblin is just that good, yes, and I do think that Goblin is just that good. So, I mean, we'll have to just see what comes out from the side of Illinois. But
2, 1.
It's like Boise State, they are content. I mean, the comp had some weaknesses, but they definitely were able to hold. They walked right into that death room that fooled Boise State orange, and unfortunately for Boise State blue, they're going to lose a mech and probably Kell in the process, so that should be a no-go for any Boise State team. As we see Plato's able to answer back. He gets Loro taken down. Going to try and shotgun blast his way up onto the high ground. Throw some dynamite in as well. Unfortunately for the Broncos, a res does go out, so that all elimination was for nothing but a respawn on Kell. It means we're basically back at full strength.
it did cost the Mercy her life, however, which is always a good trade. If you can trade Mercy for one of the DPS, you absolutely should take that. And Plato put them in a position where they had to do exactly that. And so now Boise State is sitting at a really solid push here. And how they use the blade that they're coming up on will determine how cleanly they're able to cap this first point, because that blade could be used. Well,
I mean,
about that.
The payload so far behind, I think Goblin should be able to get back into the fight before anything too crazy breaks out. Is going to slow down his blade acquisition as Asu nearly dies. Guac does, but Plato gets one back onto Laurel. Going to cost the res of Track. You see, doesn't look like there's going to be a punish straight line of sight there this time by Track to make sure he doesn't get taken down. Kell forced out of the mech, and Boise State not having the smoothest of pushes as he's immediately blasted back by Laura. And Boise State probably going to want to wait for that Diva to come back, and right now that blade still a little bit further away than they probably anticipated. But Bob being called in by Plato means maybe they want to keep fighting right now. Valkyrie used by Asu. Bob immediately falls, but there's no Bronco there to back him up. Nano goes on to Goblin. Blade going to be used as well. Don't quite see where he is. There we go. He's able to take down one. Res onto a large bagel. And Boise State unfortunately gets just one from the Nano Blade, but it might be enough to break up the team as we see a double anti going to come out onto both tanks of Illinois. Lido has gone down. Res comes out thanks to the Valkyrie used by Trax as well as the Transcendent for Ethelon. Whole Hog going to be used. Nice eat there from Kel, but he's not able to get all of it. He's going to use the Diva Bomb there to reset his health. Luxie once again hit by the anti. You see the tactical visor has been used by Linero. He's going to be able to pick up Plato, as unfortunately Kel wasn't able to eat that one. Guac can be able to get Loris, so both teams are now down in Ash, but once again Kel forced out of the mech and no Diva Bomb all to reset it. Going to get punched down by Sir Ethelon, or should I say kicked down by the Zenyatta, and Boise State probably going to have to retreat.
Yeah, both teams pressed a lot of Qs there, and Boise State pressed Qs less effectively than Illinois did, and so we did end up losing that fight. However, because we started the fight with Nano Blade, we are also almost to it again, and they are not ready for us to engage with a Nano Blade. If Arana can charge her ultimate faster than the Zenyatta's Tranquility, that's first point for Boise State.
Blades online. A large bagel definitely winning that battle. 96 to 84. Nano Blades online. Kel has been taken out of the mech. There's the Nano. There's the Blade. And there is two automatically. Make it three. There's no res that comes out. And then Boise State almost gets four. It's after the Nano Blade falls, but it's still enough as they get the team kill. And they're going to get the first point.
The clean team kill, the clean first point. That Zenyatta didn't even have Trank for it. It was absolutely fantastic on the side of Boise State. And it would not have happened like that if they had the Tranquility up for it. Now, Boise State needs to use this next fight. They need to use Bob to great effectiveness if they want to continue pushing past this door.
Broncos don't have to get too far, only 20 more meters. You can see the shiny parking space that the Broncos are going for. And Sir Ethelon taking it down with the Transcendence online. Double anti going to land. Bob's going to be called in, and both Valkyries going to be popped, but no res currently available. There it is, finally onto Sir Ethelon, but it's going to come at the cost of Luxie. The Transcendence pops right away. Minefield gets one more before Plato gets taken down. So there are no tanks for Illinois, and that's where the two ultimates are currently sitting. Kel has the Diva Bomb. He'll use it to reset health and phase a couple members of Illinois away. Ace are going to take down Laura. Now we're going to see Boise State with a nice little push there. Didn't quite see where the members of Illinois were. They might have been all taken out. And Boise State now on to match point.
Yes, they were all taken out. In fact, that was a very clean job by Boise State. And if they had not won that fight, Illinois would have been in the same position that Boise State was to hold them from not getting to that next parking space. That fight was really determinant on whether or not they were going to win that map, but they cleanly won it.
Well, as Boise State sits on match point, it would be awesome as well if you could sit on match point and level yourself up instead of just an on-screen character. It's now possible. Your actual speed, strength, and endurance will help you win through Black Box VR arenas, making it more like a futuristic sport than a video game. Keep following Boise State Esports on Twitch to see upcoming Black Box VR events, and go check them out at www.blackbox-vr.com. As we head on to Hybrid, you'd have to think D'Angelo, the odds-on favorite for this, would be Kings Row coming out from Illinois, but would have to see if that's what they want to go with facing match point.
I actually don't necessarily know that it would be in their best interest to pick Kings Row, because that is a very sniper, that map is really good for snipers, and it's not necessarily as good as Gibraltar is for dive tanks, because Gibraltar is just kind of the home of dive tanks in more ways than one. But Kings Row isn't, but it is really good for snipers, and they've already seen what Goblin can do on any hit skin hero you put in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, and Kings Row usually has not gone well for the teams that have picked it. Yeah. I know we've seen Blizzard World seen a bit of a surge, at least earlier in this semester, and then I know we've seen, I think Hollywood was picked by Boise State in the TESPA Invitational against UCI, where they capped all 3 points and fell in overtime. So Boise State probably pretty prepared for any hybrid map that comes out, so I'll be really curious to see what the Illini want to go with.
Yes, it is really, really hard to not be prepared for any sort of map that they're going to throw with you, and everybody is on top of their game, and Boise State definitely is tonight. It's been an absolutely amazing thing to watch.
Yeah, it really has been awesome to see the Boise State Overwatch teams. We also saw some Missouri High School esports teams. So it's been a great night for Overwatch, as well as some Rocket League scattered in there as well. So Boise State Blue trying to wrap it up 3-0. This team continue being undefeated in the NACE Skill Shot group play and really start to clear out their calendar for that early November playoffs as we get later and later into the group stage.
Yes, as we get later and later into the group stage, Boise State's still looking really, really good. So I think they'll be in an amazing position for the playoffs if they just continue this absolutely undefeated record, because they've played a lot of maps and they've only lost two maps, not against two teams. But of everything that they've played, they've only lost 2 maps. And that's just, what do you think about that, Fish? What do you think about casting for that team with that amazing of a pedigree, that amazing of a track record?
You know, it's been really awesome, but I will say if there's anything I want to cast, it is this. It is Doc getting in his daily Overwatch game. We'll say usually when to aim down sight when you're on Ash, but you know, what do I know? He sat in that DPS queue for 10 minutes, so he can really do whatever he wants,
True.
honestly. But I mean, yeah, this is what I would love to see. I mean, hey, Doc's keeping it up too. Looks like the other team does have 3 points, so Doc has definitely got to make sure his team keeps pushing. He already used the Bob. He's trying to get some value. There you go, aim down sight, not clicking on the heads like we want. He's trying to shoot over the shield. One more hit. Dynamite comes in. See the Diva Bomb. Unfortunately, going to pick up 2. You got to line of sight that one, Doc, I will say. I thought he was pretty far away. I don't quite understand where Blizzard thought that Diva Bomb was.
It was up in the air. It was above him. That's exactly how you snipe Far Mercies out of the sky, except in this case, it was sniping an Ash off of the ground. Poor Dr. Haskell.
Unfortunate for him. We'll have to check in on him. Looks like he's trying to force overtime there. So, you know, if he can get that, I'd love to check back in and see how he did. But at the same time, he's competing against something that probably is going to be drawing more of our attention, which is going to be a trip back to Numbani for Boise State and see if they can wrap things up here against Illinois.
And I do think Boise State has a good chance to just completely hold this first point as long as we don't I mean, as long as we're all playing our best. However, now that they're coming out with the Nano Blade, which is something that we saw after the Doomfist, because we don't have a defensive ult, I mean, Boise State is really just going to have to play the game of how long can we stop Genji from getting his ultimate, and then once he does get his ultimate, he's basically going to team wipe you, because that's just the nature of Nano Blade, so Boise State will actually have to watch out for that a little bit.
No pressure. A large bagel to try to hit the perfect sleep. So, you know, easy. As we do see, as I was about to mention, Java Chubb has subbed back in for Sir Ethelon. Unfortunately, he's going to face the same fate, immediately taken down by some dynamite.
Taken down by some dynamite, a hard pocket, and a headshot, which is exactly what we're expecting from Boise State and Plato at this point in time.
Trax will get the res, so not really much, but a couple seconds wasted as we see Boise State is going to jump in on Laura. It's the own boosted Ash there in terms of Illinois. Off screen, you're going to see a Lanero go down and Litto forced out of the mech, and that's going to force a retreat from Boise State to try and clean things up as Luxie goes down. And in a 4v5, Boise State comes out ahead as Lauro is too scared right now to push around that corner with Plato gunning him down.
Which is absolutely very fair, because not only is Plato standing there, but Asu's got the blue beam on him, and also Kel is standing there just ready and waiting with the Diva.
Java Chip's not having a good time.
Java Chip is absolutely not having a good time trying to push through that choke, but I mean, that's kind of what you expect as an Ana without shields if you're playing just the main sightlines. Playing Ana now is very different than playing Ana really has ever been. Because you always wanted to play cover before, but now it's really your only option because you can't really rely on anybody to protect you from those spam points other than yourself.
He is winning, or at least very close in terms of the Nano Ace. Rocket Barrage going to be used there. Bob's going to join in as well. Nano went on to, I'd have to guess, Luxie, because there's no green flashing bar on the side of Illinois, and he has been taken down immediately. We have seen the Valkyrie committed as Laura's going to go down as well. It looks like a full retreat's going to come on from the Illini, and not even a res can come out from Trax, and Boise State starting to push their advantage. Boise
State is absolutely pushing their advantage, as they should. The longer they can deny that Genji Blade, the longer they hold on to this point. And as we're approaching these last couple of minutes, they're going to have one shot at this blade. Illinois has one shot at this blade, and they're going in at an ultimate disadvantage, at least lost this fight. And so Boise State, as long as they manage their ultimates accordingly and stay spread when they're expecting the blade, Boise State can potentially hold this point.
Yeah, Javachup dropping the nano early means that they've now got to wait for him. Bob going to be called in by Laura, going to use the Valkyrie there by Asu, and they're going to trade 1-for-1. Goblin going to go down, but still picks up a kill. Red's going to come up onto him. So the Broncos back in a 6v5, or a 6v6 if you want to say, until Bob goes flying away. Now the Broncos have the advantage. Laura going to go down. Trax will fall as well. Little the next target, but so is Javachup. Anti going to land onto the Wrecking Ball, but it looks like he should be able to roll to safety, get the swap over to the Widowmaker, and this is probably the fight that Nanoblade's got to come out.
This is probably the fight that Nanoblade has to come out indeed, and we don't have mines to make life much more difficult for him. However, we could just drop a barrage or a bob or a bomb on his head, so Boise State is actually looking pretty good to deny this ultimate. We just need to be careful because they're sitting on 4 Qs, which is a match for ours.
Boise State about to be on 4 as well, so we'll be curious to see who wants to pop them forth. Laura right now being the target. Little has been slept. There is the nano, but it's going to go onto Goblin. Pops the rocket barrage, picks up 2. Primal Rage has been used. Another nano wasted, unfortunately, on the side of the Illini as the blade was never popped. Linero going to run away, and you've got to wonder when that blade's going to be used and if they have enough support now.
He's trying for just one more shot, but he's going into 3 ultimates, and I gotta say, the successfulness of the blade, or the lack of success here in this case, I think part of it has become to the Genji holding on to it, but I think most of it is actually the Ana not comboing and not communicating and them not being on the same page.
Arrow popped the blade, got taken down. Trax tried to get the res off, but Boise doing a great job getting right in his face. Speaking of reses, Asu gets one onto Plato. Little has dropped the minefield. That's going to take out Goblin. Not something you see every day. A Pharah falling to the mine, but it's not going to matter as Bob's going to help Boise State wrap this one up. And now the Broncos are just 1 tick away from remaining undefeated here in our NACE skill shot regular season.
Oh yes, absolutely, and 1 tick away from remaining undefeated. Today's an absolutely amazing day to be a Boise State fan as we continue our phenomenal Overwatch win streak here.
Yeah, it has really been incredible to watch this team at work. I can't wait to see how playoffs go when we get there. Not to look ahead, but that's honestly the mood you have to be in after you see how well the blue team has handled every team that's gone up against them. So one last shot from Illinois. It's going to have to be a perfect hold from the Illini. And you got to wonder from what we've seen if that's even possible.
Perfect is never really possible in a game. Perfect is never really possible in anything. However, if Boise State makes mistakes, Illinois needs to capitalize on them. That's how they'll hold this point. And they are sitting at several hit scan to try. They're very worried about our Pharah, it would seem. But with Plato on the Tracer, they might actually have a rough time trying to get some of those hit scan value there. I think Boise State's plan here is to just bum rush the point, sit there, because all they have to get is a tick. And so I think they're fully selling out to the idea of just getting and sitting on the point and then fighting them there. And Illinois doesn't necessarily have a comp that out-brawls or hard counters Boise State's comp.
Yeah, I'm sure Goblin's going to come around the corner and be a little bit scared of what he sees. As you can see the health dropping just a little bit there. So going to be a lot on Asu to make sure that he alternates the empowerment and the healing incredibly well. As you see, Illinois has set up on that little bridge. A large big is going to hop in. 3-man move, and he's going to get a helpful assist onto Trax as well. Luxie's going to be taken down by Plato. A boop off the edge onto Laura. Right now, Boise, the only thing they've lost is Kel in the mech, and he's still able to get the immortality field. Javachup has gone down. 1 man left contesting the point. It is Lido. Respawn's coming out, but I don't think it's going to be in time. And Boise State, just like that, going to wrap things up here and take down Illinois 3-0.
Just like that, indeed. First fight, they walk in, they got the kill on the Mercy, and I thought to myself, that's it. There it is. There's the tick. As most, I mean, honestly, most teams, you lose your Mercy first, you're just kind of like, oh, well, okay, that's it. When all they have to get is a tick and our Mercy's dead, that's a pretty diabolical victory for Boise State there.
Yeah, it was Boise State incredibly diabolical there, so the Broncos will wrap things up undefeated in Overwatch. Of course, couldn't be undefeated on the night as the blue and orange squads in Rocket League played each other, but still a 3-1 overall record for Boise State. And Once again, Overwatch continuing their domination, not dropping a single map. So I'll be curious to see who the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game is. Once again, probably could go to anyone for how well Boise State Blue played.
I'm thinking. I always get stressed. I want to say Goblin just because when Boise State was down, he proceeded to wipe the enemy team. And that was actually amazing. That was actually team carrying, holy crap. That was fantastic. And so if he doesn't get player of the game for that, I will be sad.
If we take a look here at our NACE skill shot standings, you see blue and orange there up at the top. The blue squad still undefeated. The orange squad sitting at 4-2. One of those losses is to Boise State Blue, and I believe the other one is to Midland, who is a very strong school that's also both in NACE and NECC. So Boise State right now, like we said, they're sitting still at the top. There is only one team that you could argue is better. That's Northeastern. The Huskies sitting at 4-0, and they are a perfect 12-0 in terms of maps. So Boise State Blue has some competition for that #1 seed. Cannot wait to see that game between the two schools, but still, gotta love to see Boise State Blue and Orange at the top of those leaderboards.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's an amazing day to be a fan of, any school when you're sitting at not only first, but also second. And, it wouldn't be worth winning anything if there wasn't competition, is all I have to say about their record and not dropping maps.
I do believe there are 11 weeks in group play, so you can see Orange is about halfway through. Blue, I think, is almost there. That might have been their 5th win or their 4th. Hard to keep track of as we see our player of the game. And it looks like you could say you are 3 for 3 tonight, D'Angelo, because it is going to be Goblin. Not that one, but still the same name, so it works out.
Listen, it works out. It's fair enough. It's fine.
It's very confusing, by the way, to have two Goblins at the same school for different games. I'm always like, wait, that's not the same guy. So it is to Goblin. It's not that Goblin. I'm sure he wishes he could be him, but he's still enjoying his League of Legends victory from last night.
Yes, absolutely. Whereas this Goblin is enjoying Overwatch victories right now, and an amazing Overwatch victory. He was in no small part the reason that we won tonight, especially on Busan. He was soft key carrying, and it was just fantastic to watch him turn around some fights that we absolutely had no business winning.
Yeah, especially on the third map. You have to wonder why it took Frosty so long to say, hey, you know what, that Widowmaker, probably something I should be focusing on. But yeah, huge congratulations to Goblin as the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. ICCU believes that a great player makes a team more successful, just like they're helping their members achieve financial success. Goblin definitely helping Boise State remain successful and undefeated for the Blue Squad here in our NACE skill shot group play.
Yes, absolutely. Goblin is one of our 6 keys to success, but tonight he was the player of the game, and so arguably the most important key to success.
Yeah, brought out the Nano Blade when Illinois is like, hey, we can Nano Blade. And he's like, here, let me show you what Nano Blading actually is, as he picked up a triple kill there. Almost had a 4K, have to settle for the non-alt kill there on Sir Ethelon, but still a great job. Once again, as we say all the time, when it's a 3-0 victory, you could probably argue Busan was all Goblin, or at least a majority Goblin, but still, the rest of the team was there for him. He could not 1v6 no matter how good he is, so still a huge shout out to Boise State Blue for that 3-0 victory.
Yes, absolutely. And even when he was turning team fights, he was at least 2v6 because he had the hard Asu pocket.
That is true. Well, that
will
wrap up tonight's broadcast. We still have more coming up later this week tomorrow, so you want to make sure you drop a follow or even a sub so you can keep up with all the Boise State action. If you drop a sub, you can go back and check out that Goblin hard carry if you want to show your DPS, hey, this is how you play Soldier, this is how you play Widowmaker. Just take tips from this guy. But a huge thank you to D'Angelo for joining us here in the arena, the Overwatch Orange team for being victorious and hanging out on the stage to watch the blue team pick one up as well as to everyone in chat and the production team for making sure we look and sound as good as possible. That will wrap up things tonight. We'll have a top 5 plays to leave you guys out on, but until next time, have a great night. On that far, as you can see the damage he takes immediately right there. Does have the rocket barrage, gonna pop and take down Little, gonna try and get some damage on the back line and get down Java Chup as well. So no res available for the side of Champlain. Plato takes down Luxy. Trax going low, he will fall. Lerno joins them in the death grave, and Boise State right now doing a great job.
I'm not even sure that the res would have helped them there because
Up and down, but I'm going to whiff. Nice straight form being used there by Lerno to stay alive, but that's about the only positive for the side of the Beavers right now, as 2 have gone down. Frosty has just respawned. Let's make it 3 in the spawn right now, and Luxy might be the next focus as he will fall. And Boise State trying to get back on this point. Little, the last remaining member, he's going to be taken out of the mech. Frosty jumps. Mr. Large Big is going to hop in. 3-man move, and he's going to get a helpful assist onto Trax as well. Luxy's going to be taken down by Plato. A boop off the edge onto Laura. Right now, Boise, the only thing they've lost is Kel in the mech, and he's still able to get the immortality field. Java Chup has gone down. 1 man left contesting the point. It is Lido. Respawn's coming out, but I don't think it's going to be incredibly low there. Tactical Visor going to be called in. He's going to pick up 1. Lerno's picked up a couple of Broncos in the process, though. Goblin's going to get another one as well after the Tactical Visor phase. He is also going to get Little out of the mech and take him down. So Boise State has been able to turn the tide. You see Goblin right now basically 1v1ing anyone on the side of Champlain who wants to. Stun onto Luxy. Couple of shots, and Frosty's going to get the first elimination. Goblin answers right back, right in the head, and it's 5 versus 5. He's trying to find another one as Frosty putting in work. Plato gets 1, and now the elimination starting to rack it up. But 1 in the head once again to flip it, make it 2 in